The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future.
Hello and a warm welcome to our M365 Con day 3. Today we have the Power BI and traffic stage, and our speaker today is Ilgar Zarbaliyev. Warm welcome to you. We started with a topic from patterns to predictions, seasonality analysis, and dynamic sales forecasting in Power BI. Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to thank you specifically for your organization. As an event organizer, I know that this kind of events require a lot of efforts. So once again, thank you very much. And with your permission, I would like to share my screen and would like to go on. So I hope and I strongly believe that my screen is audible and is shared, and you see my screen. So now, before starting with our seasonality and forecasting analysis, I would like to give a little bit info about this session. So welcome once again to my seasonality and forecasting session. In this session, I will go on just defining the seasonality analysis, and also I will calculate the seasonality index, and of course I will apply a standard deviation formula, as you may see on this screen. So this is for standard deviation, just a small info about this standard deviation. So X is for each value, this one is for mean of the values, and N is number of observation. And in the second part of my today's session, I will be talking about forecasting, and I will apply what-if parameters just to forecast our sales dynamically. And all is going to be done by myself. My name is Ilgar Zarbaliyev. I'm Data Platform, Power BI, and M365, Microsoft 365 MVP. I'm MCT Community Lead, 6-year MCT, MI expert, and also MCE. Now here, I'm stopping my presentation, and I'm going to with my Power BI file. Once again, I see my file is just, shareable, is shared. So at the end of today's session, we'll get these two, pages. So in the first pages that is related to season analysis, for specific full years, we'll find the most seasonable products and the least seasonable products, and other analysis related to seasonality. And as you may see in the second page, we'll see, or we'll learn how to forecast our sales for next months. And also we are going to use just what-if parameters, as you may see when we interact with these forecast changes in the format of percentages, and the lines are just changing. Okay, so I have my user study blank file Power BI, just file. And before diving into the seasonality analysis that I'm going to start with, I would like to give a little bit info about my data set, right? So just a few words about seasonality. First of all, seasonality plays a key role in retail, shaping when and how customers buy products. So by analyzing sales patterns across months and years, retailers can identify which items are seasonal. For example, like coats in winter or sandals in summer, and which remain steady throughout the year. So actually, in this session, we'll use a simple fashion retail dataset to explore how to detect seasonality and apply these insights to smarter business decisions. So a little bit info once again about this dataset. So my dataset file is in Excel file format that covers the stores, the products, and the customers' dimensional tables. And then I have my F sales fact tables. And there are roughly 14,000 rows, not so big data set. And also I have my sales plan. So this is this is actually the data set based on which I'm just going to make my seasonality analysis. Okay, so here I'm closing this one and coming back to my Power BI blank file. So to begin my analysis, seasonality analysis, I need a column that extracts the months from each date in the calendar. By the way, if we come back here or model view, let me make it a little bit bigger. I have built my calendar based on the earliest and latest date that can be found in my F sales table. So this is the earliest date, and shipping date is my latest date. So based on these two columns in F sales table, I built a calendar. So let me select my calendar table. If you pay attention here, I don't have my month number column. So I'm just going to add new column, so-called calculated column, and I'm going to call it month number. Here, I'm just going to use simple month function, and I'm going to select calendar and date, column. Here, I get these values. So it means that 1 stands for January. If we have 2, it stands for February, so on and so forth. So with this new column, month no column in place, we now have a clear list of months extracted from our calendar table that gives us a straightforward way to align sales data with monthly periods for seasonality analysis. Next step is building a histogram of sales by month. So, and here, just to make a visualization clearer, we set the axis type to categorical and sort the values in ascending order by month number. And it will help us or allow us to see sales distributed across months. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm selecting cluster bar chart. So let me select this one, and I'm going to add my month number from here. And in key measures group, I have my sales revenue. I'm just dragging it, let me change the places, and I'm dragging this sales revenue and dropping here. So also I'm just going to formatting and select x-axis from continuous. I'm changing it categorical, and here clicking on ellipsis, I'm going to deal with sort access. I'm selecting sort ascending, and also I'm selecting by month number. So this is what I'm just getting, right? Okay, so at first glance, this chart highlights a noticeable decline in fourth quarter, 10th, 11th, and 12th months. However, when we look closer at the underlying dates, we can discover that in 2018 year, in quarter 4, there is no just sales, and this can be the reason that seasonal pattern can be appear distorted. So here we have to be very cautious. And how to be ensured that there is missing data? Just we can come to table view and we can select our F sales, and let's change the format just to make it simple. And here, if we go to the bottom, we see that our last fact date is in September. So there is no data in November, October, and also just December. So this helps us to understand that there is missing data, and it's very important. From data accuracy is very important for seasonality analysis. And the other way, and the way that we should follow, is just to add slicer. So let's add slicer. This is my slicer, and I'm going to add my years from calendar. Let me add, and let me do some changes in format. So slicer settings style is going to be vertical, and let me also make it a little bit bigger, bold, and here my values. So let's say my values, slicer values, is also going to be 11 or 12, so which is okay. Then I can make it a little bit small, and here from general tab I can give some effect. So let's change the color. So this is what I'm getting, and here for better seasonality analysis I'm going to select the years 2016 and 2017, because these 2 years have the full transactional periods, I mean sales. Okay, now just before going on with our say seasonality analysis, we have to ask some questions to ourselves. For example, we have to know, where does this data come from, who collects it, and how this data is collected. Because as I mentioned earlier, data quality directly impacts seasonality analysis. And then now we should ask the following question to ourselves. So how do we define seasonality in formula, say, terms? Just briefly, we can say that seasonality can be expressed as the deviation of sales in a particular month from the average monthly sales of the year. So it means that I need one formula that's going to be about average sales, monthly sales. So to keep all my measures under one group, I'm going to click on enter data, and I'm going to call it like seasonality and say forecasting measures, and say load. And I'm going to write my first measure to this, just group. I have to wait for a while, and my group is already ready. So here I'm selecting this one, right click, say new measure, and I'm going to call it average, average monthly sales, and equals. Here I'm going to use my average X function, shift enter. I'm going to use my distinct function that just to get the unique or distinct list of my month numbers. So here I'm say calendar month number that we added as a calculated column, closing parentheses, and for my expression, I'm going to use my, sales revenue, and closing parentheses and commit or enter. So what does this formula do? So it gives us the info, like for each month. Here we calculate total sales, and then we compare it with the average monthly sales. So just by adding newly written measure to our table visual, we can see both values side by side. I mean, monthly sales and also annual monthly average. So let's add it here. By the way, we can delete this column 1 from model, say yes, and thus this measure group will move up. So there is a small nuance that we are going to solve. The nuance is that all the heights are the same. So why this is so? So let me give a little bit info about it. So when actually we calculate average sales, monthly sales, we need to remove the current filter context. Otherwise, like this, calculation would only consider the selected months instead of the entire year. So to achieve this, we have to use calculate function together with all. All function will help us to reset all the context. So, I mean, let's do it. Let's make some changes. I'm coming just to my average monthly sales. Here, I say calculate. And for expression, I'm just going to keep this written part, say comma, and for expression, I'm going to use all function and say calendar month numbers. And let's be sure that everything is correct. Okay, I hope we have some mistakes. Okay, it doesn't matter. So let's check once again. Calculate average distinct calendar month number. So here, yes, my mistake is here. I'm just going to close this one, say comma, and let me delete all of them. And here I can say all and calendar month number and enter. So now I can see, the necessary differences here. So with this adjustment, the average monthly sales line becomes stable and consistent. So that gives us a reliable baseline for analyzing fluctuations actually in individual months. Now, the next step is just, to calculate the seasonality index that will help us to measure how each month deviates from, average monthly sales. So for this purpose, I'm just going to, click here, right click, new measure, and I'm going to call it seasonality index equals, and I'm going to use simple divide function saying that my sales revenue measure, and this is going to be on as a denominator, or yes, and as denominator will act my average monthly sales, closing parentheses and -1. So and here I can expand and collapse, and here I can select seasonality index and format it as a percentage. So this index, seasonality index, expresses the percentage difference between monthly sales and the average monthly sales for the year. So let me make a copy, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and here I'm just going to remove these ones, and I'm going to add my seasonality index. And if we hover over, we can see that, for example, here in January, we have our sales are 12% lower than the annual average. Or in February, it's a little bit higher. But in July and in August, sales surged to 23% above of the average. So it means that these 2 months from seasonality analysis point of view are the strongest months. So it means that the higher the index, the stronger the seasonal effect. So, and here we can see also negative values, which means or indicate months with below average sales. But positive values highlight peak products. Okay, to make this clearer, we can visualize the index index in a chart and also build a table. Actually, we did the first one, and here we can add one, table. So let's add it. And let me make it a little bit smaller. And so here we will find which products are the most seasonal and which are the least seasonal. So we can do it. So, to do it, we are going to add our D products. So my product names, and also for now, I can add my, seasonality index, but I'm going to change it. There are strange numbers. First of all, let me make some changes here. Let me make it 9 bold, and my values are going to be 9. So which is okay for me for now, right? So here seasonality index doesn't make sense. So this approach is not good. Why? Because it can be misleading, because it simply just compares total sales over 2 years with the monthly average. So to make the calculation more accurate, we adjust this formula to calculate the index across monthly, individually. So from this point of view, I'm just going to make some adjustment. Let me come here, and I'm going to use my average function, average x. And for table, I'm say that distinct. And for column name, I'm going to use my calendar month number and closing parentheses, comma. And for expression, I'm just going to use this divide one, right? This divide one, and making closing parentheses and say, okay. So the numbers have been changed. Actually, you cannot feel the changes here, but here we see, we feel the necessary, changes, like a more meaningful coefficient we get, right? So here we see that some seasonality coefficient is near to close to 0%, and the others are higher, some of them are lower, so on and so forth. And actually, seasonality index in itself also not the the full tool that we have to follow. So just a minute, sorry. Okay. And here, what I'm just going to do, I'm going to use standard deviation that will help me to measure the best, the correct seasonality. So it will measure the variance of fluctuations. So let's do it. In the beginning of my presentation, I explained about the standard deviation formula. Now I'm not going to explain it once again. So here I'm going to write new measure, and it's going to be called sales seasonality deviation equals, I'm going to use my squared function, and then I'm going to use my sum x function. I will give the necessary explanation in a while. And also I'm going to use my distinct function. I think it's clear that we are going to use this function to get the unique list of calendar month number, closing parentheses. And for expression, I'm going to multiply my seasonality index by seasonality index, and I'm going to divide it by the number of months, closing parentheses and closing parentheses, enter. So here, instead of, just let me give a little bit info, explanation for this measure. So here we square the seasonality index just to get rid of negative numbers, right? And then we divide it by the number of months, and then we sum up all of them and we get square. This is essentially the root mean square of the seasonality index. So here I can format it as a percentage, and let me collapse and expand and collapse. And here I'm just going to change it with newly written measure. So let me make it a little smaller. And now we get the necessary answers to our questions. For example, we can rank our table. Here we see that. So let me go button and select the least seasonal product, and let me make it a little bit let me focus on this. So it means that my less seasonal products fluctuate within roughly -50 to +50 percentages, and this is t-shirt type for Adidas. And if we go up, and let me select this one, and the most seasonal product is t-shirt type 1 Reebok, and let me focus on this, and these highly seasonal products swing dramatically from -100% to plus roughly 400%. So thus I'm completing just my seasonality analysis. So actually, seasonality analysis gives us opportunity to identify which items are most affected by seasonal patterns. And here we used mathematical approach, but Power BI has its built-in DAX functions that we can also use. To summarize, here we explored or measured seasonality in retail store using a sample data set, and we calculated seasonality seasonality index, and also we applied standard deviation. This is very important from inventory planning, promotions, and demand forecasting perspectives. This is the end of first part of our session. Now I'm just going on with my forecasting. So let me give the necessary info about my forecasting. So just let's first of all make a copy of this slicer. Let's say Control-C, Control-V, and don't sync. And here I'm just going to select this one. And also I'm just going to add a line chart. This is just for forecasting. And here I'm going to add months. This one, months is months plus year. So I'm going to add this one. And also let's go to our key measures. And here we have some, written measures. For example, sales revenue, just a year-to-date function. This one, right? I'm just going to add this one here. And then I have my, sales plan year-to-date function. So this is my sales plan year-to-date function that I'm going to add also this one here. So let me make some changes, like, say, I'm going to make my title bold, and I'm going to change the color. So I can also make it a little bit, narrower. So here, sorry, also I can add, actually I can select this one, say Format Painter, and I can add some, shadow, just to make it a little bit, different. But once again, I have to come here or here. It's my title, and let me select this one. Okay, and make it bold. Okay, so this is my just, say line chart where I can see my actual sales and also my planned sales. So till here, everything is perfect, right? But here I see a decline. And actually in the first part of our session, I explained this one, right? So now I'm going back to my study sales analysis. Here I have my table. Let me make a copy and paste it here. And I'm going to bring this one under this my line chart. And then I'm going to, just delete all of them. So here I'm going to add my month number and also actually not month number, my month. And let me make it a little bit, narrower, and I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So here I'm going to add my sales revenue. This is my sales revenue, and then I may have, or I can add my sales plan. So yes, and actually we can make some changes. So let's make this kind of changes, and then I would like to add my forecast. So I'm much more interested in my forecast values. So how can I get it? So it means that I need one more measure. So let me select these seasonality forecasting measures, right click, new measure, and let me call it forecast equals. Basically, I can say sales plan plus sales revenue. So say sales plan plus, actually, say sales plan plus sales revenue and enter. Then I can add it here. But, would be perfect to calculate forecast in a little bit in different way, right? How? For example, first of all, I need to see how much or how many, what months, I have to calculate the sales plan remainder. And then I can sum up sales plan remainder with actual sales, thus I can get my forecast. So let me write one more measure, and I'm calling it like sales plan remainder equals. So I'm going to use variables. I say var and last fact date equals. Here I'm going to use my calculate function, text function. For expression, I'm going to use max just to identify the sales, maximum sales date value, closing parenthesis, and here I'm going to use all function. It means that all the filter context resetted or removed, and say return. And here also I'm going to use once again my calculate function. For expression, I'm going to use my sales plan measure, and then I'm going to use filter and saying that my calendar table, and for filter expression, my calendar date, is going to be greater than last fact date, right? And thus I'm making two closing parentheses, and here I can add my sales plan remainder between them. You see, so it makes much more sense. So here I'm going to make some changes in my forecast, saying that instead of sales plan, I'm going to select my sales plan remainder, and I'm getting these values, which makes much more sense, right? Now I can write one more measure that is going to be calculate the forecast year to date. So say forecast year to date equals. Here I'm going to use total year to date function. For expression, I'm going to use my newly written forecast measure, and for dates I'm going to use calendar date, closing parentheses, and enter. And I can add these forecast year to date to my line chart. Okay, I see this kind of stuff, right? So here, I would like to make it sensible, this, just a line chart. So for this purpose, actually, this is due to, year-to-day, total year-to-day function. I see this kind of stuff. So here, I would like to take this one, and beginning from here till this part, I would like to display my forecast in dotted format. So for this purpose, I have to make some changes in my, sales revenue here in my, just say, measure. So to do it, if you remember here, I wrote this kind of stuff here. So I'm just going to make a copy, Control-C, escape, and I'm coming to my, sales revenue year today, and I'm going to delete this one, say Shift Enter and Control V, and then I'm going to say return and Shift Enter. Just I'm going to use total year today. For expression, I'm going to use my sales revenue measure, and comma. For dates, I'm going to use calendar date, closing parentheses, and then actually I forgot one stuff here. Here I have to start with calculate. For expression, I'm going to use this one. So let's say tab, and here say comma. And for filtering, I'm going to use my filter function. My table is going to be calendar, and for filter expression, I'm going to use calendar date, and it should be less than or equal to last date, last fact date, closing parentheses, and I say, okay. So you just pay attention here. Everything, actually forecast and my sales revenue year today on one line. Actually, there are two, lines, right? So what I'm just going to do, first of all, let me select this one, and here I'm just going to change it, like sales short names I'm giving, and it's going to be plan, and it's going to be my forecast, right? Enter. Okay, so, and also I'm selecting this line, coming here. Here I have my lines actually. I'm going to select my forecast and say line style is going to be, just like this one, okay? So here also, what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to, change the colors. Just pay attention, okay? And as we have not made the necessary changes also, so, okay, so let me do this once again. Let me change the colors of lines. So here I'm going to select my forecast. Let me make my forecast line color like this. And also here I'm going to select my sales line, and I'm going to change it, this one. Now it makes much more sense, right? So everything is clear here. So what I'm just going to do, just let's pay attention here. I see that, for example, by the way, we can add our, stars as all forecasting are going to be based on my stores. Let me make a copy. And let me unselect this one. And here, instead of here, I'm just going to bring my stores ID, right? Stores ID, okay? And let's select store 2, right? So here I see this kind of stuff. And if you pay attention here, for example, we see that we have performed more than it was planned. I'm talking from, sales perspective, right? So let's make this kind of, some calculations. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to write one measure that I'm going to call like, my sales performance. So say like this, percentages sales performance, and basically I'm just going to divide my sales revenue over my sales plan, and say comma, right? And here let me format it as a percentage, and I'm going to add this one here. Actually, this is what I'm just getting, right? Which is not honest. Why? Because it also includes these 3 months. So what I should do, actually, if I say opening parenthesis here and minus sales plan remainder, closing parenthesis, enter, thus I'm getting much more sensible, numbers. So it means that I'm performing actually at 11% growth rate. So what does it mean? So most probably I will want to keep this growth and much more, right? So it means that here my sales plan, forecast values for these 3 months will be more than 11% more than as it was, calculated. So it means that here I'm coming to my forecast and say this is times by, just say percentage sales performance and closing. Yes, that's enough. Okay, if I say okay, okay, I think there is some stuff I have to take care of. So what does it mean? So let me go back actually to my report. Here I see this kind of stuff. The reason is that if I come to my forecast, here to my sales revenue, today, if you pay attention, okay. So I think we have some minutes, and I will explain this one, why this looking like this one. So first of all, I have to come to my forecast. Let me click this one, and it's my forecast. Here, I have to make some changes, right? So it means that it's going to be, right. Okay. So I have to make the necessary changes in my sales performance, right? So here I have my sales revenue, and I say divide by sales plan minus sales plan remainder, which is perfect, right? And here I'm coming to my forecast, and in my forecast I have my sales revenue and plus sales revenue. Actually, you see, plus sales plan remainder, and the mistake is due to the misplaces. So what I'm just trying to say, let me delete this one. If I say sales revenue plus say sales remainder, actually this is going to be, yes, sales plan, let me say remainder. And here, I'm just going to multiply it with percentage, say sales performance. Say enter. Now I'm getting the correct answer. So a small mistake was done here, right? So now we see that we have to, also forecast, we have to add these, 111% here. So for this purpose, let me add, we have to make the necessary changes. So we are coming here. I know our time is closing to the end. If you pay attention here, we have sales revenue year to date. And okay. So actually, we are coming to our forecast year to date. Here, I'm just going to make the necessary changes, and I'm writing my last measure. And I say that calculate So my expression is going to be sales, revenue, and divide by sales plan. Actually, here I'm going to add like this one, say sales plan minus sales plan remainder, and I'm going to close this one, and then comma, and here I'm going to use all function and my calendar month number, and then also my sorting column in calendar. So closing parentheses and enter, and thus okay. Actually, sorry for this. It's going to be done in my forecast. I'm a little bit excited. Sorry for this. Sorry, excited. I have to write it here, and we are completing. So say calculate, and for my expression, I'm going to say sales revenue. Okay, and divide by opening parentheses sales plan and minus remainder. Okay, closing parentheses, comma, and then I say, you know, okay, just okay. I say all and calendar month number and calendar sort, closing parentheses, and I'm deleting all of them, right? So I hope it will work. So say yes. So this is what I'm just getting. So actually, I hope we came to the end of our session, but it's not completed. So let me go on with my full file here. What did I do? I will take your 2 minutes maximum. Just let's pay attention to my, measures. So here I have my forecast year-to-date function. I'm a measure. Here I have my forecast. So just pay attention. I'm calculating like this. And also I'm coming to my sales revenue year-to-date. All changes are, done here in sales revenue year-to-date, just to keep these lines. So what we can also do, we can also add some what if parameters from modeling. Here we have new parameters. We select new numerical range and we add some values. We can see these values from here. Forecast changes. Just pay attention between minus 50 and plus 50 percentages, 1% as an increment. We added this as a what if parameter, numerical range. And then we are coming to our forecast function. Just pay attention. Here we say that our forecast is going to be sales revenue plus sales plan remainder times by percentage sales performance and 1 plus forecast changes. And it helps us, to organize our forecasting like this. So sorry, I couldn't end in the necessary time slot in 45 minutes, but it took roughly 48 minutes. So here I end my session, and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to back to studio.
Yeah, thank you, Ilgar. It was very impressive and a hands-on session. I really like that. So one question, not you need to answer so in detail is, but how you handle new products without a history of forecasting?
Okay, as I mentioned in my in my session, these seasonality products, is done based on the, at least for example, let's say a 2-year data set, right? Mm-hmm. So from this point of view, the analysis that we are going to do related to newly added product will not make any sense. So we should have the necessary. That's the reason. I mean, that's the answer.
Okay, so you could not say it's nearly the same product as we calculate with.
And just imagine that how can it be possible? For example, let's say that we are going to have new product, and seasonality means it's either summertime product or it's either wintertime product. So at least it should have one, full cycle, and after that we will be able to make the necessary seasonal analysis. So that's what I can answer.
So yeah, perfect. So
and also, sorry for interrupting you. If anyone needs the data set or file, I can share it with you. So this is another case.
Yeah, this would be good. So I thank you for this great keynote for today. Our next session is Paula Garcia Esteban with design systems for Power BI, transforming dashboard development. We see us back in 10 minutes. And for you, Ilgar, I thank you.
Bye.
And I hope you see us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action, real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action. Real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem, or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action. Real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hello and a warm welcome to the M365 Con. Today here on the Power BI and Fabric stage with me is Paula, Garcia, Esteban, with the topic Design Systems for Power BI, Transforming Dashboard Development. Warm welcome to you, and you could start. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen. Please let me know if you can see it correctly. Okay, sharing. This is this one. And now the presentation. Okay. You see the slides? I hope yes. If not, please let me know. And well, let's start with this, to me, interesting topic about Power BI and the design. I know that sometimes, as developers, we don't, or you don't have a lot of time to spend on this aesthetics part of the visuals, or improving the user experience, or just think out of the box and spend time creating better reports. But please do not forget that the users are the key customers when we are developing something. And if we are able to communicate properly, we will give more value to the whole process. You can have a great data quality system, but great performance, the best data architecture you can ever imagine. But if people don't understand what they need to analyze, or they perceive it as something that is not very professional, maybe you are not putting all the value in the work you have already done. So even if it's at the very end of the process, please keep an eye on it. Well, let's expand this topic today. Thank you for joining, and well, for accepting me in this great event with a lot of speakers. So it's a pleasure to be here. And before introducing myself, I have put here some random reports I found on Google. I mean, nothing special. And apparently some reports that are good. I mean, they are examples. So what we can see here, for example, a report where we have, I will pick the laser. Okay, we have here the title, some KPIs. We use the color apparently correct. I mean, it's a great dashboard. It's correct. Huh? In terms of design, everything is readable. We can assume that the green is something important for this brand. And I've picked other reports that also connects with this green. I like this green, to be honest. And look, this different example. Okay, imagine we have this, and then another report into our company using the same green because it's our branding green. We have this other report. I honestly prefer this because we have some extra structure with this gray, white. We have a kind of layout that provides some order, structure, and makes me, or allows me, to read it in a more organized way. I see clearly the titles. Then if I want to go deeper, I can focus on the legend. Then I see the gray letters and numbers. So this is showing me in different layers all the information. And to me, it's a better option because here is everything mixed. But here we have a pattern, something that gives us a feeling on how to read it. Then we have another example that can be also in this company. And we have here some differences. For example, the title is not clear or not very clear. We don't have structure at all. We have like separate numbers. Well, we don't see the if there are millions or billions, or we're missing some information because we have not enough space in these KPIs. Here we see these letters that force me to turn my head in case I want to read something. It's not the best option in terms of UX. But again, can be an option, can be something that is published in my whole ecosystem of reports. And if I see these three, I can say, yeah, they belong to the same brand. And it's like, okay, we have something. And the last one that can be more connected to this design, but at the same time, the elements are not in the same place. Here the title is a bit different. Here we see the KPI or the number inside the card correctly. Then we have this slicer. Here again, we have another KPI. We don't have this structure. And here we see more colors. But again, this green, it's something relevant for this theme, this use of color, this branding, etc. And the last one, I don't want to show you hundreds and hundreds of examples, but again, focus on this report, on this dashboard, and we see again the relevance of this green. We see here more green, a softer one, then more colors. I really cannot differentiate very good these parts of these columns. It's not the best use of color, in my opinion, and it's not an opinion, it's something you cannot read properly. So what we are communicating exactly, but this is not the topic today. I just want you to focus on how important is if we are consistent across a report in case we have different pages, and across a whole organization if we really are spending money and effort and time on developing a whole ecosystem of reports, of dashboards, organize it in the different workspaces, whatever you have. The feeling of professionalism can be very, very different if we have something that allows us to be more consistent, okay? And again, in this hypothesis, imagine this is our logo. Apparently, everything's okay, is enough to be published, okay? But, well, and the main idea is reports within an organization are often inconsistent, even when using the same theme or color. Why? Because themes in Power BI are limited in a way and force us to define colors, fonts, sizes of the fonts, but a whole theme should be more, or a design system should be more, okay? And this is something very important to me, because it's the difference between making a single report or creating or developing a report instead of creating digital or analytical solutions. If we talk about solutions, imagine you are an app developer. You will never imagine a menu that is placed in one side, then if you change a page, you find this menu in other sides, then the button in a page has a form that in other is completely different. These things are very important, and the feeling of professionalism and robust solutions is connected to these little details, okay? And one thing I want to reinforce, you get one shot for a first impression. Make it count. Like if you show your numbers, your analysis, and you are not communicating good, or you feel not, the feeling is that everything is a bit messy, you will miss a chance to generate this big impact. And it's not you will miss the whole credibility on your numbers, it's not that, but you can use it and make it better for them, okay? And the reality is I know a lot of developers they deal with this constantly, and they feel they don't know how to do it. And it's not on you. I mean, I'm here like pushing and giving you strong messages on this, but it's not your fault. Okay, don't think it's about you and you are doing the bad things. Why? Because you spent a lot of time with data origins, data sources, creating a metrics. You has to know Power Query, DAX. You need to control a lot of things, so you cannot be perfect. I mean, you can, but it's weird. I'm not a DAX expert. I don't want to be that. You are maybe, or you are the best defining star schemas and connecting everything, whatever. Let's collaborate, okay? Let's collaborate. I mean, inside your teams, let's find the way of have some agreements, so you don't have to spend time and time trying to make a great design. Okay, now I introduce myself after this summarizing this big idea about how I plan this session, or how I see the departments in data departments in general. My name is Paula García Esteban. I'm from Spain. Maybe you have realized it because of my accent. Well, I said here, hola, hola, ciao, hello. I speak different languages, but yeah, English is the key language today. I'm specialized in data visualization and AI, and Microsoft MVP in data platform and artificial intelligence. I'm a LinkedIn learning instructor, but you can find my courses mostly in Spanish. So in case you want to learn Spanish, it's also a great opportunity, because you can learn these topics and also a bit of, I don't know, where you can put the subtitles. I think it's all, yeah. I'm focused nowadays in design and UX for Power BI. The more projects I work in is related to helping companies to improve their designs and the UX and the development process of Power BI reports. And I say I'm a human centered by default. Why? Because I always thinking about how the users perceive our solutions, how the directors or the people within a company can analyze and be sure they are applying AI, not because of applying AI, but knowing how it impacts to the process, to the business. And I try to make this lesson, this connection between the technical world and this human side, okay, or this people part of the business, because we really need it. And our work makes sense if it's useful for the business. And well, I like this photo. This is a real photo. I make it like 6 years ago. And the idea of this workshop was to create our curriculum vitae with the Lego, with these pieces. And it's what I've represented time ago, and reality is my career have put me here nowadays. And I think it's kind of correct right now, because I'm always walking in a direction and trying to connect these logical, structured manners of work, but always with the creativity, this colorful, this everything like more natural. We have here the water, some flowers. I've studied telecommunications engineering and a degree, etc. But then I switched to marketing. In my personal life, I like music. You can see the guitars. Okay, like music. I like dancing. And it's something I always combine. And it's part of why I'm developing these methodologies, this design system approach, and everything. Always connecting this logical part and simplifying you this creativity side, or this combination of colors, of elements, etc., to help you to follow a process and achieve better results with your reports. Okay, and I'm also a woman for technical talks. This is an organization we have in Spain, and we help other women, and we invite them to participate in technical conferences, because we are usually less. And I'm not talking about radios, about being the 50%. No, it's not that. But I think we really need to encourage each other. So yeah, I want to enhance this and invite you, women, that you are here listening, to share what you know, because you know things and your approach can be different and can be very, very interesting for others. So share it and people will appreciate it a lot. Well, coming back to the topic, I stop in talking about myself. Developers deal with this constantly. It's not on you. We know you put in the effort and do your best. You are not a designer. And that doesn't mean the hours you spend don't matter. Of course, they matter. But we need to have some agreements if we want to develop analytical solutions. Because the truth is technical teams don't fail at designing. The failing is at deciding. And it's where design systems make sense, because it's a system of decision that have been already made. This is like a framework. And without a system, every report is a special case. You need to think, to spend hours to think where to put the elements, etc. With the design system, every report, at least these graphical sites, it's a combination of rules. If you know that when you put a card, the size of the card should be 14, you put 14. And if it is it's included in a square, you put a square or a circle or whatever, or it's in the upper side or whatever. You follow the rules and you don't have to think again and again where to place it, how to place it, etc. And then this happens sometimes. Some of these developers, you really like creativity, you really feel this feeling of being a creator, and you really like to spend time with these designs. What about your creativity? Well, a design system don't limit your creativity, but what it makes is reducing your ambiguity because you follow a rule. Then, if there is a reason when you need to skip these rules, you argument, you show the reasons behind your decision and do it your way. But at least you have this general pattern. Then when you control the pattern, you can skip it. Of course, if you are a super artist, go for it. I mean, I'm not blocking you, just giving you the possibility of focus on what's more important, okay? And I always make this difference because artists and designers are not the same. What is an artist, or what's the scope, or what do the artists want to express something? Just for the sake of expressing, and not following a conclusion and a specific impact on the audience. They are just expressing, and a designer is solving a problem, wants to solve a problem. So that's why we need unstructured, and we are not just creating something beautiful. It's not about making beautiful reports. It's making something that is useful for our users, okay? I hope this is clear. And the reality is we don't have a single solution. And that's hard. Why? Because we have a lot of elements. We have a lot of possible combinations in terms of colors, of sizing, of the size of the canvas, how we combine all the elements, which size we use for every single graphic we use, how many pages we have within a report. We can do a lot of things. So it's a complex problem because we have so many potential solutions and we need to choose or identify what's better. So yeah, it's not easy. As I said before, a PowerBI team is much more than colors. A design system include fonts, include a structure, include a header with primary and secondary navigation, include buttons and states, help elements in case we want to include, I don't know, a Q&A side, or we want to link a repository where we explain every single metric, every single KPI, and how to interpret, and I don't know, whatever you want to include that helps the user to understand how to navigate and get the information from your dashboard. And we can have the tooltip style, we can have so many things. And of course, we need to understand and have a clear objective when we are using colors, a part of our brand. We need to use color with a reason. It's not about coloring and putting colors. Why? Because our attention has limits. My attention has limits. Your attention has limits. And we should not overload the people's brain with a lot of colors if we are not communicating something specific, something we really want or need to communicate. So how we can use color with a purpose? First, we can use color for classifying positive, negative, green, red. In our culture, Europe, we use green and red for showing positive and negative things. We can classify it in a multi-class way. When we put legend, we use the colors to connect these pieces of information with a specific category. We can use color for adding an extra dimension with a gradient or a divergent color. In the next slide, we're gonna see some examples. We can use color for highlight insights, maximum, minimums, anomalies, something that is relevant. These are insights. Putting colors is not an insight. If you highlight something because it's a key part of your message, you are communicating, you are using color with a purpose. And of course, we can use color for decorating, but more than decorating, what we are doing when we develop this design system or this, we put some colors in our theme, in our design system, we are providing context. We are telling the users, look, this is something that has been developed within your company. This is something that is yours. You belong to this whole thing. And it's what we can do with colors in our theme, okay? But we will see that we can use it just very soft with little details and generating this feeling without overloading everything with colors, because we are not an artist, that plastic artist where we put colors and colors just because we want to create something. No, we are communicating a message, okay? So 2 key ideas. Don't use a lot of color because we need to reduce the cognitive load as much as possible. We need to reduce the mental effort that the individual requires to complete a task. And if we put information not ordered with so many info, we explode internally. Our cognitive load is like boom, and we have not room, we have not the space for really focusing on what's more important. And then be minimalistic, okay? Less is more. Use intuitive graphical elements that indicate the function or use of the system features, but don't put info that is not required. Do not decorate. Again, avoid decorating and use patterns we have in the digital ecosystem in general. How we can add more info with colors? As I told you before, we can add an extra dimension with gradients. For example, here we have 2 axes, and we can have some insights if we see this pattern, everything is aligned. Apparently in this line, we have all the bubbles. But if we have here the sales and here the quantity, and we are analyzing if I sell more and I get more money, if I don't know, here we see this constant line. The more quantity, the more I sell in terms of money. But imagine here we have the profit with this gradient. This bubble has an extra message because here we are seeing that we can analyze that we are selling a lot in terms of quantity and sales, but also with a greater profit than this. So in case we're analyzing the performance of our products, we can say this is relevant and this is not. Without the use of colors, we cannot communicate this. Okay, so it's a key thing we can use for communicating. Okay, then we can use also the diverging colors that focus our attention in the extremes. For example, here, if I want to identify quickly the maximum and the minimum, we are using color and deviating our attention to the highest and the lowest using these diverging colors. And finally, of course, the categorical colors. We have legends, okay? And these help us to categorize things. It's the most common use of color. Then, more concepts we need. We need to focus on the interaction design. This is not only the things we put within every single page, but also how we interact with all the elements. Because in Power BI, or I hope in Power BI, we have a lot of possibilities of interaction. We have tooltips, we have bookmarks, we have different status, and we can decide if when we click into a visual, if we filter the others, or we are just highlighting the proportional part of other graphics. So we can do a lot of things, but we need to find how we will communicate, the user is able to interact with our designs. And it's where we need to know a little bit or some concept about user interface, UX, and this was what I'm trying to introduce a little bit today, but without missing the focus on the design systems. Why I said that? Because we need elements for navigation, and it's a key part also of our design system. We need and style for the navigation buttons between different pages. We can use the default, yeah, but these are a bit ugly, no? So maybe we can find a design for every single button and communicate when something is clickable or not, always using the same pattern. Okay, so when we talk about elements for navigation, we need designs for every single button we are going to use. And this is based on the Jacob's law. And it's a principle of usability that tell us that something we know from other sites and other websites is something we already know. So the more we reuse things we see in our digital ecosystem in general, the better, because people will understand easily how it works, okay? I mean, this is not something I'm inventing now because I want to improve the design in the dashboards. No, it's not that. It's because it's been demonstrated that we follow this pattern. So copy your website. This is the main message of this slide. Copy whatever you have in your software, in your website, in your designs, digital designs, because there you have styles that people will recognize and understand easily how they use. And connected to this topic, I need to tell you about the concept affordance. I always explain affordance with these scissors, because if you have never seen a scissors in your life, you have never cut using a scissor. If you take it, you understand you have two spaces where apparently you can put your hand or your fingers. And I would put it in this way, in this situation. I will put it this way, not this way, because here I cannot put 4 fingers. So I understand, I perceive, because of the form of the element, I perceive how I should use this scissor, okay? In this case, I want to tell you, I'm from this city, from Albacete, that is also known as the city of knives. And well, this brand is very famous. It's the only thing we have, like, really important. People ask me, no, but from which city are you? Nobody knows Albacete, but maybe you have used these knives and scissors. Just kidding. Affordance. Affordance definition is a term used in design, cognitive psychology, and perceptual theory to refer the possibilities of an action that an object, environment, or interface offers to a user. And this is like, oh my God, how much theory. Yes, I know. But how you understand a button is clickable. Sometimes we have a color. Sometimes when we cross our mouse, we see something that is highlighted or something. And we need to communicate that the things that are clickable are clickable. And what's going to happen? For example, here, we have the rows and we can put right, left, back, give messages to the audience because they will understand how it works. That's very, very important. And once you have defined all these elements, all these colors, everything, then where you need to spend your creativity, deciding where to place the graphics, deciding which kind of graphic, which kind of visual you need for covering your purpose on the analysis. Because then once you have this mock-up or this idea that can be in black and white without any kind of style, I make these mock-ups in this tool, has a free program, and I highly recommend this tool, but you can do it in a paper, okay? Just place the things, try to develop your story. It's where your creativity makes more sense, okay? And then when you open Power BI, when you translate this into Power BI, then you apply colors, then you apply the structure, then you apply your theme, then you put the style for the row, you do whatever, okay? And you can make it something like very, very basic. This is the by default theme we usually have in Power BI, but you can make something more minimalistic using the same blue, the same orange, the same colors we have in this, but we can do something different. And you can go for a high contrast theme, wherever. What is important is you have defined how you will create this structure, how you will develop your filters, and then this replicated, okay? You can replicate it in your whole organization. And light versus dark mode is not very, very different approach. It's more complicated when you use dark mode. It's true, you need to make more clicks, let's say that way. But just remember, you need to define how you will mark the structure, your menu, the font, if you will use different background colors as background for the different visuals, or you will use a little shadow, or you will look wherever. But once you have defined it, it's not very different. And again, everything starts here in your mockup. Okay, this is where the message is really developed. Okay, so don't forget it and keep the visual aspect in a side when you are creating something, and then you apply the design system. And said that all this theory, let's see how we can implement this, or how I understand design system should be made, or how I develop it from some customers. I consider a design system for Power BI should include a JSON file with a theme, then supplementary materials like the elements you can copy and paste, and then general guides where you show the use of colors, the structure, all the details that maybe can generate doubts, and then they can go to the official style guide and validate if they are applying it in the correct direction or not. Okay, so let's see how to apply a design system in minutes. I will show it the fastest I can, but first of all, I want to show you, okay, everything I prepare for the customers, okay? Here, for example, I have the design system, and I have here all the visuals. They are prepared in groups or covering different aspects you can communicate with your data. For example, evolution, the change over time. We have this, considering the positive and negatives values. We can talk in terms of ranking or part of the whole, and for example, have these predefined styles. Then the cards, we use a lot of cards in our reports usually, so why don't have it like prepared, because we will then copy and paste fast. Of course, we need tables, we need matrix, another style for matrix in case you use it a lot, that happens. Then more visuals for exploration, etc., etc. I don't want to spend more time on this. And then in another file, I usually define the header, the footer style, the filters in case I consider that I will need in the different reports some filters, or extra information I need showing the last update, or more extra information. Here, for example, I have title, I have space for title and also subtitle that gives or provides more context to the users. Then I have alerts, then I have messages like important, something that is very brighty and very catchy for the eye because I really want to highlight it. Then I have here the grid. This is a key aspect that allows me to go fast and order everything, keeping always the same space between the visual or something that apparently has the same pixels between the different elements I have, and provides this feeling of order that is very, very important for showing this professionalism in our reports. Then the buttons, what I tell you, how I understand that this allows me to go to something different, because when I cross my mouse, it appears in green. That is like my key color for showing this. It's like the color we have defined for the interaction buttons, unless they are like the super brighty for extra important information and really want to highlight or make something that I really want to communicate, or the bookmarks, how I will define these buttons, these more soft buttons, because we need to keep this hierarchy. Okay, then how we group different visuals that goes together, because together develops a single message. We can use this square, we can use this line. I mean, everything that potentially we will need in our report. And once we have this, all the elements already prepared, when I create a new report, maybe my colleague or you are just checking and put from your mockup that you have made in a paper, you put all the elements in Power BI. I mean, this is not bad. I mean, we have here like different KPIs, different styles. We have here another KPI, but with devolution, the main table, and then some extra visuals that provides the user more information. But it's not beautiful, it's not organized, it's not ordered. How we apply the design system? First of all, we need to adapt the canvas space. Okay, so here we can modify these are the main proportions from HT. Okay, and this is important because for this design system we have defined we want HD consumers. So we are preparing everything for these displays, okay? And here we have all the elements we had before. Okay, perfect. Now, what we do, or how I recommend to apply this tool if you want to develop it faster. I will select the JSON file that I have already prepared and validate with all my colleagues and the marketing department and everyone. And I see, well, everything is getting like a certain touch of my style, okay? Now we have the titles, the blue as a main color for titles, this style, this standardized numbers for all the information I want to highlight within a car, within a KPI, the totals, always keeping this contrast enough because I always focus on make things readable. And once we have this, I go to my grid. Sorry, because it's running very slow today. And because I want to go faster, I will select all the elements. I mean, I will put the header with the last updates, the subheader and the footer, everything together. I copy, then I paste. Of course, if we go to the first page where we have all the different kind of headers, I can use the one that is more adapted to my design. In case we use some visuals that are getting info from our data model, they will break, but it's not a problem. We will see how to improve it and solve this little problem. And what has happened, the grid is like in front. So I put it in the back. And now with this, I can take every single visual and adapt it and align with my grid. And I don't want, well, I have a lot of slides to share because I always have a lot of things I want to share with you. Sorry, I have moved the grid. And it's working very, very slow. The demo effect. Okay, imagine that I put in order everything. And look that this is kind of easy. We just need to wait for the red line and align the components. And I hope you are perceiving now the difference, because in 2 minutes, or well, maybe 5, but in a few minutes, you can have something much better. And we have not touched almost anything, just with the JSON file and generating this layout, this organized layout. Okay? And now, this is not perfect yet. Why I say it's not perfect? Because I have here a lot of visuals, but I've keep the JSON file design. I have not included exactly the way I put here the numbers or the detail of having the axis in blue and in the opposite side. So what can I do for applying these specific designs? I copy, then I paste, and as you can see, it's broken, but we have a specific button that helps us to adapt it. Here, if you focus, we have the squares, these angles very marked. When we have in the other side, we have the rounded angles. We have here then the title for the axis. And what I want to show you is when you copy and paste from the other page, I copy this element and then I apply it to this. Come on, work. You see that we apply the axis, the legend with the style I want, the angle. Now you can see it. You cannot see it because it's a grid that it's defining all the rules. But if you see here, I will make it bigger. We have applied everything for our official style in minutes. Okay? We will need to repeat everything. I mean, you copy the funnel, you copy the data chart, you copy and paste the styles, you use this button, this magical button, and then you have everything standardized in minutes. Of course, you need to spend some time preparing this before. Yeah, but in the long term, it really makes sense. Okay. Well, I want to have some minutes for Q&A, but let me show you the steps to create a design system in your organization. Basically, what I do is an analysis, corporate branding, colors, and guides. I try to collect all the information I have from marketing departments, etc., from the logo, from the colors, everything, and analyze the reports that already exist, because I will understand if I need filters, if I need explanation, if I need some alerts within the reports, everything. So with everything, I make this auditory, make this analysis, and then I define the theme, assuring the contrast in the colors. Sometimes the colors that marketing has are not perfect in terms of data visualization because we are communicating numbers, so they should be readable. If not, it's not useful. So I sometimes adjust a little bit the colors and define the fonts, the resolution, the grid, the menu, the navigation, everything. Then I validate with all the stakeholders, all the parts, marketing, communication, data managers, and then I create the songs. I create all the templates, all the materials. Then the additional materials, these style guides with all the rules, all the details they need to keep into account, how they will test everything. Then I give some training explaining how to apply all these steps. I already mentioned it, but a little bit deeper and with more details that should be taken account if we want to assure the usability, that everything is clickable, etc. And then I help them to apply in case they want. I help them to adapt all the reports and make them like more consistent, more professional in the whole ecosystem. Usually I work in iterations because, well, I really love the agility mindset. I prefer to go step by step, but with validation within the process. For example, if I define colors, I validate colors, because if not, maybe I generate materials and these are not correct because they don't like the colors or whatever. So I iterate. I want to spend time on this because if you want to know more, I have published this business case. I'm authorized to do this. If not, I won't share all this information with you. But it's already been published in ux4powerbi.com. You can check it because I think it's useful because I explain the process. Of course, the benefits they have found in these materials, and basically, or the most important thing is they have saved time while developing new reports and optimize their workflow, so they deliver faster. Thanks to that. I mean, this is not just because we want to make things beautiful. It's because you communicate better, but also you save time. And well, first you can optimize, or usually I help companies to optimize the contrast, the legibility in the reports. You get a lot of ability. You are able to standardize, and it's not only because of we want to standardize. It's because you reduce the learning curve for new reports. People that see for the first time a report, if they find the menu where always the menu is, the buttons in the form that they perceive a button, and all these things, it's really helpful because they understand easy how to use the new report. So you reduce the learning curve and you reduce the number of questions you receive when you have published a new report, like, oh, but I don't know how to navigate, or wow, what can I do, how I check the tooltip, how I go to the detail view, etc., etc. So standardization is, again, not something that only matters in the graphical aspect. You improve your branding department, this professionalism perception. That's important also because you put more value in your data, okay? And you avoid opinions like, no, but I like this button in red. No, I don't care if you like in red because the official one is in green, so you have it in green or in blue or whatever. Sometimes we deviates the conversations and we end talking about if they like Arial or Times New Roman, instead of focusing on, okay, what's your process, why you need this number, or which context you need if you need to take a decision based on this KPI, or these are the questions that matter when we are communicating with reports. So we are not talking about if you like blue or purple. I don't care, okay? I'm very strict with that. But of course, opinions are relevant, but those ones that help us to make better dashboards, okay? And here I have a lot of theory about how to conceptualize exploratory dashboards, but we don't have time. Please follow me in case you want to know more about this ideas, concepts, because I participate a lot in the community. I really like to share these materials because, yeah, I really think we can do better things in Power BI within the better designs. Remember, we are solving complex problems. We have a lot of possibilities, and every single user has their own word and ideas and everything. So we are doing something that is very, very hard. So let's focus on analyze, on understanding the real needs of the business, and not into putting things beautiful. I think it's the great difference is focusing on the processes and the decisions, and it's where we help the more. Thank you very much. I don't know. Yeah, we have 2 minutes in case you have some questions. And if you like the UX approach, or you want to know more about what I share, or my methodology, or how I switch this concept of not only design but communicating better with data, I have some videos translated with AI. So these are not perfect, but enough in case you want to know a little bit more about this UX approach. And follow me on LinkedIn, because I share a lot of topics related to this design applied to Power BI. Thank you very much, and I hope everything has been understood.
I think that was a firework. Really, really good. So thank you very much, Paula. So I have a question. So because so you talk about artists and designer. So but what role does storytelling play in the structural layout of a Power BI report?
That's a hard question, because every data team is different. For example, I've been working in multinationals, and we were a lot of people. So in that sense, the roles were defined, and if you are 20 people, you can, I don't know, split the responsibilities, let's say. But sometimes you are the single one developing everything in your company. If you are a more small company, or you're just starting with Power BI, or so how would they name it? I don't know. To me, sometimes these graphical developers are the main developers. So, and these senior people, because they are more connected to the business requirements sometimes, and that's key, because the cost per hour of a senior that is spending clicks in Power BI has a cost. And it's a hard question.
Yeah, but that's the point. So I understand that it's totally necessary to find the right themes, the right design, the right colors, but at the end user must understand what he see. For example, the CFO of a company, or someone else, and this should be included into strategy. But amazing.
Yeah.
So I
of course,
was really amazing
and
highlighting.
To me, it's like in an ideal world, if we all collaborate, should be perfect. But that's why I create this kind of tools, because I really think they need the more technical developers oriented to the numbers. They are super a part of this designing colors. They don't feel comfortable. They usually don't feel comfortable to that. So, or you can collaborate with your marketing department, and maybe they help you, but they need to know the limits of Power BI and know a little bit about data and data visualization and the strategy and everything. And find this balance, it's hard. So we need to find the way to.
So I want to thank you. I think this was amazing. So I hope you will come back next year.
Invite me. It's been a pleasure. I will develop the other side of the slides.
So our next session is Francis Forlamnani with From Capacity Chaos to Cost Control, Understanding FinOps in Microsoft Fabric. We see us again in 6 minutes. Bye-bye.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI. New features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action, real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem, or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
Hello and a warm welcome to the M365 Con. Today here with me is Francis Polanami. A warm welcome to you. The topic of today is from capacity chaos to cost control, understanding FinOps in Microsoft Fabric. I will hand it over to you, but you're on mute, I think, Francis. You must unmute. You must click on the microphone on the left side.
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Hello, everybody. Yeah, all right. Good morning, everyone. So let's get started on today's session. So, okay. So today we're talking about from capacity chaos to cost control, and we need to understand what FinOps is. So, what comes to your mind the first time you hear about FinOps? Some people say financial operations, some will say finance and DevOps, some will say saving money and all what's not. But for some of these things, they are correct, some they are not correct. So let's find out what FinOps actually is. Now, there are common pitfalls. You see, it's organization deploying Microsoft Fabric, and then they are excited about their deployments, having unified analytics in one place until they receive their invoice and they realize that, oh, that's actually a big one, and that's resulting in about 40 to 60% wasted on cloud cost, and then you have capacity running for 24 hours in a week, which is not necessarily the case. Now, what is FinOps? FinOps is an operational framework and cultural practice which maximizes the business value of cloud and technology. Now, you can see that some of this definition was actually highlighted. So it's not just about financial operation. It's not just about cost control. It's not just about what the bill you have in your environment, but it's actually a culture that you need to imbibe in your organization. It has to be about framework that you are putting in place to ensure that your investment in cloud and technology is fully maximized. And also, you need to enable a timely data-driven decision making and create financial accountability through collaboration between the engineering team, between the finance team, and also the business as well. So this is the official definition as defined by the FinOps Foundation. So you need to use the framework that has been provided to actually maximize the business value of your cloud and technology. Now, this is the FinOps Foundation framework. Now, it sits between business strategy and also technology strategy. How do we ensure that our technology strategy and business strategy align? That's where FinOps sits. Now, there are different scopes for you to actually implement FinOps, either in your public cloud, your Azure, your AWS, your GCP, and every other public cloud you have available, or even your data centers, or even your licensing, your Office 365 license, your AI solution, and custom. And lastly, your SaaS application, that's your software as a service, and that is where Microsoft Fabric come in, right? So you need to implement FinOps in all of these scopes. And remember, as part of the definition, one very key thing there is collaboration. Who are the people that are going to be collaborating to implement FinOps? You have your engineering team, you have your leadership team, the procurement team, the finance, and the products. You might be wondering that what is someone in procurement, someone in finance doing with this technology collaboration, but we are going to find out as we go over this framework. And also, there are some allied personas that are not part of the core personas. They are your IT financial management, IT asset management, people in security, and even sustainability are all of the personnel that need to come together and help you actually implement your FinOps. There are basic principles of FinOps. First off, at the very beginning, that teams need to collaborate to implement FinOps, and also the business value of technological decision needs to happen as a major principle of FinOps. And of course, everybody needs to take ownership. Every personnel that is coming together to implement FinOps, they need to take ownership of their bits of what FinOps is. Either somebody coming from your finance team or somebody from your engineering team, who are your core developers. Everybody needs to take ownership. Another core principle is that the FinOps data needs to be accessible, and it also needs to be timely, and also needs to be accurate, because we are talking about finance now. I know that finance people don't joke with their numbers. So the FinOps data needs to be accurate, accessible, and also come in a timely manner. You don't want to have a chargeback after the bill has been sorted. And then it has to be enabled centrally in your organization, not, oh, engineering team just doing their thing separately, or finance team doing their thing separately, or even the procurement doing their thing separately. It has to be enabled centrally so that everybody is working hand in hand. And then we have to take advantage of the variable cost model. So these are the 6 basic principles of FinOps. And we already talked about the scope in which Microsoft Fabric fall into the SaaS scope of FinOps. Now, we also have domains as a major part of this framework. Domains are the outcome that your FinOps practice is going to achieve, and the capabilities that you have in-house is what will help you achieve this domain. So we have the understanding the usage and cost domain. We have the quantifying the business value as another domain. We have the optimize and usage cost as another domain. And lastly, we have the manage the FinOps practice domain. Now, under each of these domains, we have the capabilities that you need to enable within your organization to actually implement FinOps. Now, one of them under the usage and understanding cost is data ingestion. You need to understand your usage data. You need to understand your cost data. So you need to ingest it in a place where you can make use of it. You need to then allocate it. When you talk about allocation, okay, who is using what? In which business departments are they using this cost? So you need to have all of these things. And also, it is after you actually ingested the data for your FinOps and also allocate it, then you now start looking at reporting, analytics, and even anomaly management is another capability of understanding your usage and cost. And also, we have the quantifying the business value. How do you quantify the business value from your investment? Okay, you have invested in Microsoft Fabric. How do you ensure that you're actually delivering value? You don't want to invest 1,000 and then the return on your investment is not significant. So you need to be able to understand and quantify this business value, which is another major domain of FinOps. And some of the capabilities that you have is your planning and estimating, where you start talking about what size of fabric capacity do you want to deploy. You want to talk about forecasting your usage. You want to talk about budgeting, because now you may have a lower fabric capacity. Let's say you start from a F16 capacity, and then over the course of a month, particular month, you realize that your usage is higher. You want to be able to do adequate budgeting by having some Azure credit that you can use to deploy a higher capacity of Microsoft Fabric. Then you benchmark. You also want to do your unit economics. Then another main domain of FinOps is actually optimizing usage and cost, your cloud sustainability, your licensing and SaaS, which is what we talk about with Microsoft Fabric capacity licensing, then your rate optimization and also workflow. Some of these capabilities and domain are applicable to Microsoft Fabric, but when you look at your entire cloud infrastructure, they may fit more. But for Microsoft Fabric, some of them are actually enabled. And lastly, we have the manage the FinOps practice as another major domain of FinOps. And it means we have your FinOps practice operation, you have your policy and governance, you have your FinOps assessment, and education. Like what we are having now can count as education in your organization. Like, okay, what exactly is FinOps? What is this framework? How do we implement it? Then invoicing and chargebacks is another capability that you have within FinOps framework. Then you have your FinOps tool and services, where we are going to elaborate in detail today the FinOps tool that you can use for Microsoft Fabric, and then the intersecting disciplines. Okay, how do you collaborate with people in finance, in procurement, and in people in products, or even the allied practitioners? So these are the overall domains and capabilities that you have with FinOps. And of course, FinOps is not something that you finish at a go. It's an iterative process. So you have the inform phase of FinOps implementation, you have the optimize phase, and also you have the operating phase. Now, when you start to implement some of the domains and capability, you get informed. So for example, when you look at the usage, understanding usage and cost domain, you see that we can put in the informing phase to be reports and analytics. So your reporting analytics can sit very well within the inform. So when you know what is happening with your cost, what is happening with your usage, then that is an informed stage. Now, all of these capabilities and domain can be distributed in any of these 3 phases, which is the inform, optimize, and operate. So okay, when you know that okay, you are not right sizing, that's an information that you can process, then you need to to actually optimize, and actually maybe you scale down or scale up, and then once you do that, then you now begin to operate based on that optimization and operation that you carried out. Now let's go into the next slide. Also, as part of FinOps framework, we have the maturity model, we have the cross stage, you have the work stage, you have the run stage. At the end of this session, I hope that you'll be able to actually estimate the maturity stage that you are in your organization. Either you are on the crawling stage, or you are in the working phase, or even the run phase. And some of the things that will serve as pointer or indicator of which maturity model phase you are on right now. For example, on the cross stage, you want to check if you have any reporting or tooling at all. If you don't have anything at all in your organization, that means you are at the crawling stage. Is there any measurement that is being provided? Are there KPIs that you are measuring? So these are some of the things that allow you to estimate the maturity model that you are in your organization. And also, across all the domains and capabilities, you then start to grow from crawling to working. Under crawling, you want to understand that are there automation in place that you put into your workflow, into your process. For example, in Microsoft Fabric, maybe when your capacity is not working at optimal, you want to scale down. Is there automation in place that you can use to do that? So if you have automations, then you can say that, oh, you are towards the working phase of your maturity model. Or are there minimum and medium KPIs in your organization? And of course, the run phase is the highest maturity model that you have with FinOps, the capability you understand everything around FinOps for your environment. Either you are even doing Azure, you are doing AWS, you are doing GCP. But our focus today is just Microsoft Fabric, which is just a SaaS application as part of the scope of FinOps. Now, Fabric licensing, as we know, is measured in capacity units. And then you start from the least capacity, from your F2 capacity to your F64 up until F2048 or thereabouts. But these are the sizing and the units in which Fabric capacity is measured today. Now, typically, you see people using F2 capacity for their development and testing. Some can even use it for production if it's a very small organization, depending on the size of the organization. This is not a ground rule, but the capacity sizing varies from organization to organization, depending on the size of the organization. So these are the units in which Fabric capacity is measured. Now, how do you calculate Fabric CU cost? Now, for example, if you go to the official documentation, you are going to see the varying costs that vary from region to region. Now, I'm using the West Europe region for the calculation in this space. Now, for your F2 capacity in a monthly basis, you have about $321 for your pay-as-you-go subscription. But if you use a reservation, then you end up with $191, which is about 41% approximately in saving costs if you do reservation. Now, when you make a purchase of any of these Fabric capacity units, you are reserving maximum number of seconds. Take, for example, if you are making a capacity cost for a F2 capacity, the hourly cost of an F2 capacity is a $0.22 because it's an F2 and that's 2 capacity units. So you multiply that by 2, then you have a $0.44 per hour. So you have 730 hours in a month. You multiply that by 730 hours, you have 321 hours. So that's how you arrive at your monthly cost of capacity. However, some of the FinOps tools that we are going to see, especially the Microsoft Fabric capacity app, which is a reporting tool in Fabric as of today, is actually measured in capacity units. Now, when you make a reservation, right, for example, now you have 2,328 seconds thousand in a month, but because you are on F2, when you multiply that by 2, you have roughly about 5 million seconds in capacity units. Now, if you consume about 15,772 capacity unit seconds, and that is the unit that you are going to see on your Fabric capacity metric app, what you have on the official documentation is the capacity units, the CU, and then when you have on your app is capacity seconds. So you have a 15,000 capacity seconds from your app, then you multiply that by the cost of using your F2 capacity in 1 second. So the cost of using a capacity in 1 second for a F2 capacity is about $0.0061, and the total seconds that is available to you for an F2 capacity is about $5,000,000.256,000. However, if you have a higher capacity, F4, F8, F16, then you have more available for you to use. So whatever you use out of the 5 million is what is your utilization of that capacity. So now let's go into the next slide. What are the things that even consume some of the capacity units? Your engineering workload, ranging from your Spark job, your data pipeline, your notebook, your data science workload, your model training, experiments, your Power BI refreshing, your reports rendering, even your warehouse to your queries, your table creation, and even your real-time analysis also, and even one day. So these are the various fabric workload that actually lead to the consumption of your capacity unit. Now, some of the things that we need to understand with the CU economics is the smoothing buffer, which allows you to your capacity to keep working even when you are consuming above the capacity that you actually purchased. And you have throttling when the consumption exceeds the capacity beyond the smoothing window. Now, let's say you are supposed to use 1,000 units of capacity, and then your consumption is slightly above 1,000. Then there is that window that your capacity will still continue to work, and that is the smoothing buffer. Once you go outside that, let's say it's about 1,100, let's say you're now going towards 1,200 capacity, and that's your throttling area. And then you have also background operations that even if you are not actively working in your environment, these operations are running in your environment. And all of these things actually uh, contribute to the consumption of your capacity. And then the time frame from the smoothing buffer is about 10 minutes. So let's say your consumption is about 1,000, and then you are already above that limit. So for about 10 minutes, you are still able to use 100 units more, making it 1,001 units for your smoothing buffer. Then anything after that, then you have throttling, and then you have things to slow down, and then you have queue in your environment until the capacity shuts down completely. Now, you want to monitor all these costs in your fabric environment. You want to monitor it by workspace. You want to monitor the operations that are actually consuming your capacity. Is it the background operation? Is it the interactive operation? Interactive operations are operations when you are actively working in your fabric environments, when you are running pipeline, when you are running your Spark job, when you are actually querying your database, your lake houses, and all of that. So these are some of the metrics that you are going to see in Microsoft Fabric Capacity Metric app. Now, common pitfall is that you may have capacity running for 24 hours, which is not necessarily uh, always important to have it running. If you have a situation where your capacity is just supposed to run for about 8 hours in a day, and then the rest of the hours you don't need to have your capacity running, then you want to ensure that you turn it off. Another thing that you can have is over provisioning. Maybe you just need a F64 capacity, and you've gone ahead to provision F128. One another major pitfall here is that an organization that is trying to go into Microsoft Fabric, they probably just need a F4 or F8 to get started, and then they go ahead and start with F64, which is a lot more expensive as compared to a lower capacity tier of licensing. So you don't want to start from the highest capacity, you want to start from a lower capacity. And the thing about capacity in Microsoft Fabric is that you can always scale up or scale down even within the month. So if we are starting out from an F4 and then you realize that your consumption is way above F4, you can scale up to the next year to F16 or even F32, depending on the metric that you are getting. Also, some of the things that you can have is when you have a poorly optimized SQL query and even your custom query as well. So these are the things that can actually serve as pitfall, and then we can have unnecessary data movements. Now, there are a lot of things that Microsoft has invested in one link within Microsoft Fabric that actually do not require you moving data from one page to another, because your data in one link is available to everybody in your organization. So you have your shortcuts, you have your mirroring, you have your all manner of things that you can use in your environment that prevents you to actually just moving data unnecessarily from one point to another. Because when you start moving data from one place to another, you are at the risk of duplicating that data. And when you have your data duplicated in your environment, that means you are consuming double size of the space you're supposed to consume in your one link. And of course, the running cost of the compute to actually move that data will also be incurred when you are moving data unnecessarily in your environment. Now we have optimization as well when you are doing right sizing. So think about when you are running an F8 capacity and that capacity is picking at 45 capacity units. So that means you are underutilizing that capacity at about 65%. So you can just scale down from your F128 to F64, and that will still peak at 45, and that will result in about 50% in your cost reduction by just doing the right sizing of your capacity. Now, some of the things that you can do is that you can pause your capacity during non-business hours. For example, you can have your capacity running from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is about 11 hours a day, and then it is paused between 7 p.m. to 8 a.m., depending on your organization or when the peak hour is, or you can even pause it completely during the weekend, or even when you are not in your active hours, maybe you are using a F16 capacity, but because you are not in your active hour, you may want to scale down to maybe F8 capacity, and that will be at a lower cost. And in the morning, when you are at active capacity, then you scale up again. So you can see that, okay, some of these things can actually be automated so that somebody is not just going back in there to scale up and scale down. So you can actually have it scheduled, and you can have a potential cost reduction of up to 54% when you actually implement some of this scheduling and pausing and resuming your capacity. However, you need to be very careful on how you want to pause your capacity. The timing is very important, and also the size. So before you can start to implement some of these things, you need to understand the capacity metric app which we are going to get into. So that will inform you which is what on which approach to take, on what capacity size you need to use, and the timing that you need to actually follow in optimizing your capacity. And also, I talked about query optimization. You want to ensure that you are using Delta table with Z ordering. You want to implement partition, proper indexing. You have a very large database. Then you want to avoid the wildcard aesthetic when you are querying all the columns in your table. When in reality, you just need 5, 6 columns of your table. So this can reduce your consumption as well by 10 times. Now, cost allocation. You want to track cost, which workspace is consuming the most, how do you allocate to various workspace, which business units, depending on how you set up your organization. Maybe the workspaces you have in your organization is by business units, or if not, you want to track by workspace, and you want to create a chargeback model and also enable budgeting and accountability with your cost allocation and also your chargeback. Now, you need to build a FinOps culture, which you can actually follow the framework that we talked about earlier. You bring about people from the engineering, the core developers, your fabric developers, your data engineers. Then you bring them together with the finance people that handle your invoice, your monthly invoice from your Azure billing data, and also the business value. Maybe the organization has been promised to actually have a return on investment of about, say, 10, 20, 15%. Then you want to make sure that everybody is in the loop, from your procurement and all the core personnel that we discussed earlier in the framework. Now, some of the important metrics that you need to do when you are implementing FinOps for Microsoft Fabric is your CU utilization rate. How well are you utilizing your capacity units? So for someone that is on F2 capacity that has about 5 million capacity units per second, how well are you utilizing it? Are you consuming just a million out of the 2.5 million capacity units that you have available to you? So if you are utilizing about 1 million out of about 2.5 million, that's barely 50%, or you are consuming more than that, or you are even consuming just 500,000 units out of about 2.5 million units, then in that case, you want to scale down. Then the cost per workspace, which workspace is actually consuming the most capacity unit? Is it your dev? Is it your test, or even your production workspace? Typically, you expect your production workspace to actually consume more capacity units. When you have a dev workspace and your test workspace consuming the same capacity unit as your production workspace, then you know that's a very poor thing to have. You don't want to have your test and production environments running at almost the same capacity. Or some another metric you want to actually look at is your idle capacity time. Okay, do you have a situation whereby nothing is done in your environment in the non-active hour, or you are not only at optimal, then you want to scale down so that the 13 window when you are not actively working, then you are using a lower capacity, and then your billing data at the end of the month is reasonable, and then the cost value by business. So you track all of these things monthly, and you can also set up alerts for some of them. Now, if you are consuming implementing FinOps for your fabric environment, here are some quick wins that can lead to up to 30 to 40% of cost reduction in your first month of implementing it. First off, you can just enable your Fabric capacity metric app in your Fabric environment. This gives you idea into your consumption. One of the major KPI you are going to find on that app is the utilization, which is the average utilization of your capacity. Then you want to pause your dev and your test capacities. If you have a very large organization where your capacity are separated based on the environment, then you want to pause the dev and test. But if you don't, maybe you want to actually turn off some things in your workspaces that have been dedicated to be the lower environment. Then you need to right size your production capacity as well based on the peak usage that we are going to see later on in this presentation from our Fabric capacity metric app. And then you want to implement some Azure budgets, and also you can do audit and optimize the top high capacity consuming queries. Maybe you have a query that you are running regularly in your environment and they seem to be the most expensive, then you can optimize them as well. So these are some of the things that you can do as a quick win checklist if you are trying to implement FinOps in your Microsoft Fabric environment. Yeah, what are the tools that are available today to implement FinOps for Microsoft Fabric? You have your Fabric capacity metric app that I talked about. We have your chargeback reporting. These two are very similar, and part of the plan by Microsoft is actually to consolidate the two reports into one. So I'm going to show us what each of these reports look like and some of the KPIs that you can track. Then you have an open source tool that have been developed by the Fabric CAT team. So you have the Fabric capacity cost analysis toolkit is on GitHub, and then some automations that you can do instead of having to go into your Azure environment, pause and resume your capacity, or scale up and scale down. So these are some native tools that you can use to implement cost and actually ensure the business value of your Fabric environment is well utilized. Now, I talked about automation. One automation that you can quickly do is with your Azure Logic app, where you can actually schedule a trigger. So for somebody that have their active hour between 9 a.m. to about 7 p.m., then you want to set up a trigger that will just go after your active hour. And then you can just call some of the Fabric management API as well. You can suspend and resume your capacity. Now, before questions, let me just quickly take us through some of the tools that are available. So this is, first off, let's go through the capacity metric app. Now, this is the capacity metric app. It's actually a Power BI reporting that shows you what is going on in your environment. So you have the capacity name. So if you have multiple capacity in your environment, you have a drop down right here that you can use to pick your capacity and see what is going on. So if you have a F2 capacity, you see the size of your capacity right here, F2, F4, F16, up to F2048, and then the average utilization, which is the very important metric for your FinOps implementation. Now, for this capacity now, I'm at 2.3% average utilization, and then the peak utilization is 4.84%, which already informed me that I might be over provisioning. So if my capacity is a F4 capacity, and then the peak utilization is about 4%, and then the average utilization is about 2.3%, then I want to scale down, because irrespective of what you are consuming, when you have purchased an F64 capacity, you are still going to pay for it. So this is the over provisioning. If you have an utilization of about 2.3%, so you want to scale down to the lowest tier possible that can actually allow for your workload. Now you can see the consumption of the capacity in this ribbon chart. So for example, now Saturday 17th, the metric is about 117,000. So if you multiply that by the cost per second of your capacity that you provision, then you get the cost for that particular day. And also you can see the last 14 days based on the various workspace. For example, I can see that this workspace is the most expensive workspace in my environment. So this is very believable. So if I multiply this by the per second rate of my capacity, the per second rate of the capacity is different from one capacity to another. So for example, if I have a F2 capacity, it is cheaper. If I have F4 capacity, it is more expensive. So the per second rate multiplied by this number by about 1.8 million will give us the cost that this workspace is actually consuming. And of course, you can zoom into this chart and see hourly rates of what you are consuming in your environment. So I'll just wait for a few seconds for this report to load up. So this is actually a column chart that shows us the background operation and also the interactive operation. So for Saturday 17th, at this particular time, let me just zoom in gently so that we can appreciate this. Let me just go on focus mode. Yes, so we can then see the charts better this way. So you have this bar chart that shows you your capacity consumption at this hour. So it is about 30 seconds window per chart. So at this particular hour, you have a total consumption of about 80 capacity unit seconds. And then you have a background operation consuming about 2.5 seconds out of it. And of course, at this point, you can see that you have some throttling, you have your interactive operation as well. At this point, somebody is actually actively working in your fabric environment. So this is the maximum capacity consumption line. So once you have a very reasonable gap between this trend, this dotted line, and your consumption, then you are probably over provision. Now, this is a trial capacity, which is by default an F64 capacity. So if a F64 capacity, I'm having a consumption of about 2%, then you know that is over provision. So you want to actually scale down. So it because it simply means that you are deploying more than you actually need in your environment. Now we also have the chargeback, which is more relatable and it's easier to navigate. So you have a date range that you can use to select the time frame of what you want to see in your environment. So you are able to see the number of capacities you have. If you have multiple capacities, 3, 4, 5 capacities, you get to see them here. The number of workspaces that you have across all your capacities and the items. If you have a very good governance in place, then you can see them also by domain and also by subdomain. So for example, I can just pick the top 5, or I can just change the number manually. I can pick top 10, then the capacity. So I'm picking just this trial capacity right now. And then maybe I want to see for a particular workspace or a particular item, then I select that as well. Then I click on apply filter. And this way, I'm able to see the consumption for all of these items. Like I said earlier, both the chargeback reporting that is available in your App Store in Microsoft Fabric and the Fabric Capacity Metric app, there are plans to actually consolidate the two of them into a singular view so that you now have a robust tool to actually monitor your capacity consumption in Microsoft Fabric. So you're able to actually break down your capacity consumption based on the workspace, based on the item, and then the utilization, what is consuming your capacity, you then get to see all of them. Now, my favorite tool out of these tools that are available as of today is this open source tool, which is available on GitHub. So let me just zoom out of this and scroll a bit up. So it's a solution accelerator that has been developed by some CAT members. So these are the people that develop it. We have Cedric, you have Manuel, Anthony, and Roman Castores. So you can actually go up and check out this that open source tool that is being improved. So it gives you an high level overview of your fabric cost analysis as well. So it helps you monitor your fabric cost. Now, this is what you are going to have as your architecture. You are exporting your Azure cost data, which is the focus data. Focus data is the FinOps cost and usage data. That's the full meaning of focus data. Then your billing data, and also if you have your reservation, all of this data, you are going to be ingesting them into your lake house, and then from that lake house, you then get to create semantic model where you can now create your reporting on top of it. And of course, you can go even a step higher by creating a data agent that you can use natural language query to actually get what is going on. Now, the full documentation and app setup, this is available also in this GitHub. So it's a very easy setup that you can just go ahead and implement. So on this FCA solution toolkit that is available, we have a number of pages. You have the home page, which is the summary of the key financial metrics that you see. So let me just zoom in briefly so you can see that you can see your total cost. So for example, your total cost here is showing about 32. Let's say you have deployed an F2 capacity, and which is about $321, or yeah, $321 for West Europe. Now this one is in euro actually. So, but about $321 is the estimate. But if your total cost is about 32, that's barely 10% of your cost. So you want to actually scale down, and you can see the breakdown of your total cost from reservation to your pay as you go, and if there's any other additional cost, and even your storage. So let's say you have mirroring that you've been set up in your environment, you can also see the cost of that, and then you can see the breakdown as well, the pay as you go cost they take. Is it your capacity unit? Is it your Power BI? Or data movements, or your data flow, even your real-time intelligence. So you can see the breakdown per item in your fabric. Another page that you have right here is your inform. So you can see that this is done with the iterative process of cleanup phases. We have the inform, we have another page which is also helping you to also the inform. Then you have this next page that talks about what you can do to optimize, then optimize again. And lastly, you have a page where you can do your upgrade. So we have multiple pages on this toolkit, and also if you have throttling, then you are able to see uh, that also as well in here. So you see your additional cost, maybe your copilot that you implemented in your Microsoft Fabric as well. You are able to see them in this page. And of course, there are filters that you can use. So let's say you have multiple subscription, a single subscription, and then you have your capacity deployed in these different subscription. Then you want to filter down to a particular subscription and go straight into the capacity that you are trying to monitor the cost for. However, you need to note that if you don't have access to all the subscription when you are trying to implement this open source solution, then you are not going to be able to ingest that data. The data you are going to be able to ingest when you try to implement this open source solution is dependent on the access that you have. So if you have access to maybe 2 subscription and you have one as subscription, then you are just going to be able to ingest data for those 2 subscription as well. So all the prerequisites that you need, everything that you need to actually set up these 2 is right here. And also you have this optimized page. This page is designed to enhance efficiency, how the capacity is being utilized. So now let's say for somebody that has provisioned, so for someone that has provisioned a capacity at about cost of $986, and then their capacity usage is about 60, is about $6.7. So when you subtract that from 986, then you have 979. Irrespective of whether you consume your capacity or not, you are going to be paying about $900 in your bill or in your invoice at the end of the month, which is not good. So why are you giving about $979 away when you're not even using up to $10? So when you have this type of your analytics, then you are able to actually operate and actually scale down, because you have an F2 capacity and then the utilization is about 2%. So that means your use capacity is going to be about 10% in cost compared to the $986. So you can save about $979 in this case. And of course, you can see the things that are actually consuming your capacity as well. And also we have another page here, which is also an optimized page, which helps you to reduce cloud waste. So you're able to see based on reservation, are you able to optimize based on reservation, or you are doing pay as you go? So you are going to see your reservation instance consumption, the percentage used out of your reservation. So in this case now, we have 100% use in your reservation instance. So this is very good. But when you have a reservation and then you are barely using just 50-30% of your reservation, then that is a very terrible place to be, because you pay in advance for reservation, and then the entire purpose of reserving that capacity is defeated because what you are reserving is way more than what you are consuming. So this page gives you that insight, and then you are able to actually go ahead and implement something with your reservation usage as well. Then this page over a detailed view of your cost distribution in your environment, and if you have multiple regions as well. So this is the open source tool that you have. And then lastly, you have this automation that you can do in your environment. So quickly, let me show us that. So this is a sample automation that I've implemented. Now you can use your Azure Logic app to actually shut down your capacity, to pause and resume your capacity. So for example, you can just set your recurrence to happen at a particular time frame. Let's at a particular time of the day, that it should just switch your capacity based on the logic that you define here, either it is true or false. So maybe for your condition, you can say when your capacity, when the time is between 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., then it should use an F4 capacity. But during your active work hour, then it should use an F8 capacity. Or if you want to actually just force your entire capacity over the weekend. So the number of logic that you have to implement your capacity is very dependent on how you configure your logic app. But typically, this is what your logic app is going to look like. In my own automation right here, what I'm doing is even more interesting, because I'm trying to feed from the capacity utilization on my app right here. So I'm connecting to this average utilization. So this logic app is able to retrieve the capacity average utilization, and I configure it such that once the utilization is greater than 75, then I want to scale up. I want to scale up to a higher capacity. My capacity right now is running at about F8. So once I have an utilization that is more than 75, then I want to scale up. But if that is not the case, once I have a capacity that once the condition is now false, then I have another condition. So this condition now is saying that once it's less than 5%, then I want to scale down. Now, this is what the scaling down operation is going to do. It's going to check for a resource, create and update resource action as part of our part of our logical action. And then once that is happening, then it's going to also scale down into F2 capacity. So you can actually play around with this sort of automation, either to pause and resume your capacity at a defined time interval, or you want to scale up and scale down based on the actual consumption that is happening in your capacity metric app. So for example, now by the time my average utilization is about 70%, then my logic app that is running is able to detect that, and then automatically it switch up into a higher capacity, maybe from an F8 capacity to an F16 capacity. And that way, you don't have to deal with throttling, you don't have to do with smoothing, and then you don't have to do with the entire capacity shutting down. And of course, if the threshold has been also been defined, and once it is below a particular threshold, that means your capacity is likely being over provisioned at that instance. Then you have that automation in place to actually scale down your capacity. Now, if you have some of these reporting, they fit into different models of your FinOps maturity, either the cross stage, the work stage, or the running stage. So for an organization that have their capacity metric app up and running, then they are at the crawling stage. Once you now start to have your automations in place, then you are at a very better place now. That's the next phase, which is the working phase, and eventually into your running phase. So these are the tools that are available for you to actually easily implement FinOps with your Microsoft Fabric. I think that will be the end. I don't know if there are any questions. Then I can take that question. In the absence of any question, then I'll call on Marcel to take over from here.
Yes, I have a question. So I know where are Azure FinOps 2. So do you know what is the difference between the FinOps in Fabric and the Azure FinOps?
Yes. So the FinOps tool that you have natively in Fabric is just showing you the capacity consumption usage. It does not help you calculate the cost. So let me just go back in here. So on my screen right here, you see that we have just the capacity consumption right here. So you don't have the monetary value. So for you to have the monetary value, you have to calculate by the per seconds rate of your consumption. But the open source tool that we have available in the markets right now, where is that? I think it's right here. Yeah. So you are able to see the cost in monetary terms, not just the consumption rate. So for example, if you have just the capacity metric app, maybe you are at the crawl stage of your FinOps maturity, but when you've gone ahead to implement this open source tool and then you're able to see the cost, then you are at the next phase of your maturity model. Maybe we can fit that to be your working stage, or when you now start to have automation based on the reservation, based on the cost, then you can say that you are at the running phase of your maturity model.
Ah, really nice. So thank you. So, but we have no questions in the comments, or no, I see no one. So for that, I would say, yeah, thank you. It was really amazing. Really good insight about this topic. Our next speaker is Yedra Ongole with from Events to Insights, working with data and Fabric Event House. We start in nearly 50 minutes. I want to thank you, Francis. It was really amazing. Nice to meet you, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Master. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action, real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem, or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action. Real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together. The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future. Welcome to Power Bros Knowledge, where Power Platform meets pure innovation. Your business runs on chaos, approvals lost, data scattered, time wasted. We know that pain. Now imagine automating everything, faster, smarter, and built for impact. That's where Power Bros come in, architects of digital change. We don't talk trends, we build results. Our Knowledge Hub turns expertise into action, real tutorials, real automation, real impact. Whether it's Power Apps, Automate, Logic Apps, or Entra, we make it work together, smarter. Join the Power Bros movement. 30,000 professionals learning, building, and sharing every day. Ready to transform your workflows? Book us now, and let's build something legendary together.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I train people to become Power Platform Solutions Architects. If you're watching this, you know Power Platform, but be honest, when you're building a solution, are you using the best tools to solve the problem or just the tools you know? If you love building powerful, scalable solutions that make your company money, let me share why our training is different. We've noticed that the best architects know a series of best practices and they apply them to every project. So we took all these best practices and put them into this course.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future.
Hello and a warm welcome to the M365 Con back again. My name is Marcel Bosch and I'm here with Rajendra Ongole with a topic from events to insights, working with data in Fabric Event Hours. The stage is yours. A warm welcome. And you're on mute. You must unmute, Rajendra. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcel, for giving this opportunity. And thanks to Microsoft 365 conference, virtual conference, for giving this opportunity as well. So I'm going to share my screen and give me a heads up once if you're able to view my screen. Yeah. Is this my screen is visible?
Yeah, that's visible.
Marcel, can you give a confirmation? My screen is visible?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Thank you. So already Marcel already introduced about the topic, events to insights working with the data in Microsoft Fabric Event House. So we are going to discuss about in detail about this event house and real-time analytics. And before that, I'll just like to give an intro about myself. I'm Rajendra Ongole. I'm a data platform MVP, and I'm a super user at the community, Fabric community part, and 5 times Microsoft certified trainer. And if you want to reach out to me on the right-hand side, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn, and you can, if you have any queries related to the Microsoft Fabric or Power BI, I'm very happy to help you accordingly. And coming to our today's agenda, I will give an intro about real-time analytics and about the architectural design. What are the key important concepts and what are the functionalities and components that are available in real-time intelligence part. And also, I will showcase you how we are going to inject the data part, real-time streaming data source, and what kind of a data processing mechanism we are going to make use of it, what kind of a transformations that we are going to use when you are getting the real-time streaming data. And along with that, we know PowerBI is already have an interactive dashboards. We can prepare it. Likewise, how we are going to visualize it, supports mechanism insights wise on real-time hub. It is getting supported. And also we are going to discuss about activator, data activator. What kind of an alert mechanism, or if you want to get it notification, how we are going to get it over the activator part. That part also I'm going to showcase to you practically. Fine. As a part of our today's session, what is a real-time analytics? So if you're observing, we are discussing about the concept like a real-time data, the processing part, which is a live data source systems. So commonly used for the data ingestion and processing of your stream source systems. And the data should be a complete streaming. So it's not going to be like a hourly basis or maybe the day basis refresh. So continuous data refreshes. So what are the mechanisms that we will try to make use of it? And whenever, if you're using the data streaming process, there should be, if you are handling the huge amount of information, the variation of the data part, like example, maybe the smaller gigabytes to the petabytes of several petabytes of information, how this going to be get it handled? And here, when you are working with the real-time intelligence, we have to get to know some of the common goals or characteristics here. What is the analysis that we are trying to get it view on the reporting part? And is there any abnormal behavior, or else maybe is there any futuristic plans that we are going to helpful to get it derived from this analysis? And lastly, we want to get it notify the current data which you are streaming part you are analyzing and the historical data wise. So we will try to get to know the streaming source systems as well. So I will give you some general example, like example, if you are trying to analyze the data streaming for an environmental heating sensors, like a office buildings. So we will get to know what kind of a heating mechanism should be there, and we will get to know the temperature, air conditioner temperature, whether it is in cooling or hot. And one more example, if you can try to give it, like example, maybe if you want to get it working on the marketing agency's part, and I want to see the trend of the campaign which is going to run, the real-time numbers, whether there is any positives or negative feedbacks of the product which has been released by that agency. So in such kind of a scenario, we will get to know this real-time analytics will be get it needed here. Likewise, one more example, like agriculture sector wise, maybe if you want to see the cultivation of the crops, when we will get the rains and what kind of a predictions. So in such kind of a scenario, this will be get run within sentimental analytics, and we will see the trigger information accordingly, so that the people will be get it cultivate, and we can see the further processing accordingly. Likewise, if you're observing the data streaming part, it will be continuously streaming, and it will be get it added with a date kind of a record for time to time. And on the top of it, we can also make use of the temporal windows function. Different set of functions are there, temporal functions like a time to time, session wise temporal windows functions are there. I will also showcase to you when we are working on the demos part. Coming to this real-time intelligence architecture, if you're observing on the right hand side, this is a complete, it's a part of Microsoft Fabric services. On the left hand side, if you're observing the data source system, whether you're trying to get connect to the Azure IoT Hub, real source systems, or Azure storage accounts, or maybe if you're trying to connect to the Kafka systems, or maybe some series change data capture wise, if you're trying to get connect, you can see the list of informations as well. And the main motor here, event stream is going to perform the operations like a data ingestion. We can try to import the variety of the data source systems, and we can get it processed, and on the top of it we can apply some set of transformations accordingly for the cleansing part, or maybe you want to do some removal of columns, or we want to perform some aggregations and so on. And here there is an event house which you are observing, so you can create first the ingestion and then navigate that story information to the event house. So event house is something like a storage area, something like it's not completely a storage area. Within the event house, you can create a KQL databases. Inside in an event house, you can create one or multiple KQL databases. So the KQL stands for Kusto Query Language, which is a comprehensive and very easy to get it right the statements. It's not about the SQL statement. So whenever handling huge information, and if you are maintaining the consistency of the data transferring part, such kind of a scenario, KQL statement will be better. We can make use of it. And I will also guide you, I will share you some very quick guide related to the KQL guide, okay, Kusto Query Guide. It will be beneficial to you. Whenever, if you can create the event house, automatically KQL query set, it will be get a trigger. On KQL query set, you are going to write the statements, you are going to write the KQL statements, and maybe if you want to view the visualizations part, we can view it. So it will be get navigate. If you're observing as per the architecture, you can create Power BI reports, or maybe I can try to showcase real-time dashboards as well. Like as a single page, I want to get it analyzed based on the backend KQL queries. And the complete setup, if you're observing real-time hub, which is nothing but a centralized repository where we can try to see the various data source systems there. Like you can get connect to the free sample data, which I'm going to showcase to you, how we will try to import some sample data sets part, real-time data. And even we can try to get connect to the variety of data source systems like Azure hubs, Azure IoT hubs, Kafka source systems, and CDCs. And the complete environment, if you're observing, will be stick onto the One Lake Foundation. One Lake Foundation is sassified, and you can see it acts like an umbrella. And from there also, you can try to fetch it any kind of a data within this real-time intelligence Microsoft Fabric environment part. And coming to this activator, so if you want to get it notification based on some numbers, which is as per the threshold, which is getting exceeded, or maybe if there is any condition-based algorithms, in such kind of a scenario, you can set it up an activator. We can set an alert. Simple naming convention should be an alert mechanism. We can create some conditions. We can get the notifications via emails, or maybe you can try to get it in the form of alert notification via Teams too. So as I said, real-time hub is a centralized repository, centralized hub, where we can see the different data source systems as well, databases too. And even we can try to get connect to the Fabric, inbuilt Fabric events as well, which is available already in the created Fabric workspaces, and we can import it and we can pull it over those real-time analysis. That particular data set is a real-time. We can pull it over and we can see the further analysis accordingly. And further part, we can create and manage the real-time connections and navigations and capture the source systems based on this trigger and based on the transformations mechanism, which we will try to perform via configuring this event stream source systems. So what are the source, how we are going to inject, and what are the ways, or what kind of a transformations it will be get support, data transformations part, and where we are going to get store the data destination. Suppose if I'm extracting the real-time data. So if you're observing data source systems part, external sources like Azure the storage accounts, IoT hubs, and Kafka storage accounts, and even the external sources and even relational database also, variety of relational databases it will be get supported. And maybe if your data source is already available in a dedicated workspace, Fabric workspace, we can pull it over the data via this lake houses, and we can fetch it, we can inject the data into the event stream. And even it is supporting the sample data source system. Maybe if you want to do a little bit practice about how this real-time source systems is getting work and how it is getting processed, we can also see some sample sources as well, data sources as well. And on the top of it, once you get injected the data via event stream, what kind of a transformations mechanism we can perform? You can filter the data with a number of fields which has been extracted. And also you can, based on the new data types, that is going to be a numeric or text fields, we can filter the informations. And we can also manage the required fields of the tables. Maybe I want to extract out of 100 columns, maybe with some number of columns, few columns. I can select the required columns. I can do the further processing on this data transformations part. And again, it supports all types of an aggregations like a sum, average, minimum, maximum, and count values. And we can also perform the grouping activity to the extracted source systems as well. Like maybe I want to perform one grouping mechanism with various categories which are available. I can perform it. Maybe in my bike, one of the example I will showcase to you how we will try to segregate and create a separate table by performing the group creation. And coming to the data transformations part, it even supports a union and join as well. Maybe if you want to combine the two tables with many columns are there. If there is not matching column, those columns will get deleted automatically. We can club it, we can join it, and even we can do the different operations via like a left outer, right outer join by using join kind of a transformations, merge activities too. Event house. And inside the event house, we can create the database, KQL database, either one or many. And even one single database, we can create multiple tables inside of the event house as a data destination. And further, we know how to get it processed into the real-time dashboards as well. And the data should be the current as well as the historical data analysis also we can maintain and get it stored on your KQL databases part. Like maybe I want to store in an existing lake houses. In such kind of a scenario, it supports that data destination storage should be a lake house mechanism as well, so that the tables will be get converted to the Parquet file format. And from there, we can pull it over those informations as well. And data destination with the data streaming, like already I have created and done the extreme streaming source systems. I want to add the same stream, one more streaming area, one more streaming redirection to this new streaming source system. In such kind of a scenario, we can also get it configure the current streaming mechanism, and we can redirect to the existing stream analytics as well. And Fabric activator as something like we can set it up an activator, and we can configure that alert notifications too as a data destination point. And coming to the custom endpoint is something like maybe I want to configure this particular link, or I want to embed this particular source system to an external environment. I can also create a custom endpoint. I can configure that particular extracted and perform transformation to an external tables as well, external source systems, as well as a data destination. These are the different ways for the data ingestion part and perform the transformations. And we can set the data destination to either any one of the properties like event house or lake house or any other external source systems as well. So say here, storage and query real-time data.
Sorry, could be you have all the time you show the agenda, is it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming to this, storing and query the real-time data. Backend, it will be get supported within whenever if you want to write the real-time data source systems part, we can make use of KQL statements, KQL databases. Even TSQL, transaction SQL also supports, but there is should be limitation like we cannot perform like a creation or a delete or DML statements like a data manipulation language statements like a delete operations, updates, and so on. But when you are handling huge source systems, better to use a KQL recommendation should be KQL database. It's a very simple, and I will also provide the guide link once our session is over in the chat if required. And the backend part, how much utilization it has been done and what kind of a configurations we have performed and what are the recent activities or functionalities that have been performed, activities part, it will be very cleanly displayed. And even if you're observing, whenever you can create this event house, we can also get it notify the one lake mechanism by default it is disabled. We can also set it as an one lake availability enablement, so that we can reuse it, the existing data source systems for the future prospect. And we can also get to know what are the historical information and as well as the current data, which has been getting triggered on the real-time manner. And it has been inbuilt with the Copilot functionality as well. We can write the KQL statement, but that is going to be a separate licenses. Maybe if you want to make use of that KQL database statements. But it is very simple. I will give you the list, which will be guided list, which will be helpful to you. This is very important. If you're observing the left-hand side from KQL, I mean, once you created the event house and ready for the data visualization, you can also configure the real-time dashboards at a time. Dashboards on a single page, you are going to create the data visualizations. Likewise, if you're observing here, there are page creations too. We can also create the multiple pages. On each and every page, we will call these visuals as a tile, and we can get it create and we can add the real-time numbers and real-time analysis and share this analysis to the business need as per the business needs. And coming to the right hand side is a completely core component on the Fabric environment, Fabric platform, and Power BI. You can create the data visualizations supported with the KQL database, and we can also visualize it and put it over the auto refreshes to see the required. Maybe if the end user is still familiar and get to know the analysis via Power BI, we can share this analysis via Power BI as well. We can create the reports from there too. Supports either way. Coming to an activator, suppose I have configured and I have created the data visualization and I want to set some conditions based on some limit. If it is exceed, I want to get it notify. I want to set some rules based on some conditions. In such kind of a scenario, you are going to navigate to the set alert notification, which we are calling it as an activator for the data automation part. I mean that particular visual or numbers automation part. And we can set that alert and it will be get it trigger and we can send the action mechanism to either via email and either via Teams as well, Teams mechanism as well, so that the user will be get notified and they can see that further analysis accordingly. So let's try to dig onto the demo part and I will showcase to you the complete what we discussed in a practical mode. If you have any questions, please post it and let me know. I'm opening Power BI workspace. If you're observing here, app.powerbi.com. Let me clear older ones. So whenever if you want to get start with this real-time intelligence or Microsoft Fabric, we need a proper license. So currently, if you're observing, I'm using the trial account, Fabric trial account, which is valid for the next 66 days. And here, it will not work with the pro license. We need to have a dedicated license like a Fabric trial. Then only we can get start and work with this content. Otherwise, we will not able to use or make use of this Fabric related activities. Let me create a dedicated workspace for this. Let me call it as an M365 virtual conference. And here I'm using trial capacity. So once you created the workspace, you can see here something like a diamond
You
symbol. If it
see
is
the agenda.
reflected,
You must share your
sorry,
screen. You must share your screen.
it's not visible. 1 second, let me share it. It's already in sharing mode. I will stop my screen sharing and reshare one more time. Let me know once you are able to see my screen. Yeah. My screen is visible.
Yes, it's now visible.
Is that my screen is visible?
Yes, we see it. It's visible.
Yeah, thank you. This is the front end look. So what I did in the sense, I just created a workspace. So if you want to get start with this Fabric related activities, we need a proper license. So currently I'm using the trial license, which is activated. And here we can get start with any kind of a workload on the Fabric capacity, Fabric related services, which has been provided. And it will not work for the Pro license, Power BI Pro license. So if you're observing on the left-hand side down corner, currently, though it is a Power BI, we can shift it to the Fabric activities too. So these are all Fabric workloads, Fabric-related items, and components you're going to observe here. So as a part of our activity, I need to create a workspace. I have already created a workspace via Power BI. So the workspace name is this one. Let me showcase to you that. M365 VCon, virtual conference. This is the workspace name, which is completely blank. Fine. How can we get start with this workspace and these Fabric workloads like an event house, event stream, and so on, what we discussed just now? So there are two ways. I have created the workspace. We can we can try to extract via new items. We can see the different workloads which are available here. All items part. You can see that these are the different workloads. We can get started as a part of our activity. As I said, we will get started with the event house. This is one way. Another approach is, even if you're observing here, there is a workload mechanism. So on this workspaces part, workload, get it, extract the data from a different data sources. We can extract it. We can pull over the different data sources, and we can try to get it create event stream or event house from here, create event stream. Or on the left hand side, if you're observing real time hub, this is the real time hub. From here also you're going to observe the different data sources which are available. Like example, as I said, sample data sets are there, or alphabetically, as I said, Azure storage accounts, Azure Kafka, Cosmos DB, CDC, change data capture, IoT hubs, and so on. These are the different variety of the data sources that has been supported. So from here also we can get start and create the data ingestion and perform the transformations and store the data in an event house in the form of an KQL database. It's another way. So let me showcase to you the familiar one, the virtual way. I created the workspace. From here, I can showcase to you. New item. All items here. Let's try to create an event house first. Event house. for storing the data, but it is not practically, it is not a storage area. Event house is not a practically storage area. It is going to create internally inside the event house, we can create the multiple KQL databases. So here, giving the name as M365 event house. So the window will be looking this way. Once you created the event house, this is the explorer part, left hand side, which you are observing. Left hand side, KQL database is there. KQL databases. This is the database. And here the center part, you can see the system overview, how much occupied, how much has been data has been occupied, how much storage area it has been configured, and what is the last compressed area, resources part, and who has been utilized last 1 hour or 1 day, and so on. So those statistics you can observe here in the center part. And currently, if you're observing, this is the data, event house, which has been created, and the icon looks in this way. This is the event house. And inside the event house, which I'm calling it as a cluster, we can create a multiple KQL database. So if you can click on this M365 KQL database, it will be navigate to the KQL database now. So this is the database now. So currently there is no table. It's a completely blank table. The database, there is no database now. So let's try to get it connect to the one of the sample source system. So here, if you're observing more actions, we can extract the data that is nothing but a data ingestion and transformations we can perform via get data and via event stream, or any internally, if it is available in the lakehouse, we can fetch it over as well. Let me showcase to you get data. I have a sample data via event stream. I'm going to fetch it, inject it, new stream, M365 ES event stream. Currently, our database is blank, no tables are available. So let's try to extract one sample data database and try to pull over and store that information on the created event house KQL database. So you can connect different variety of the databases from here by choosing this option, or you can also use the sample data here, and even you can connect to the external source systems as well. Use custom endpoint too. I'm using use sample data here. And these are the different variety of the sample source systems, like in public source systems. Yellow taxi is there, stock market related, which is live streaming part, buses and live streaming part, Standard and Poor 500 companies, and existing semantic model logs. Let me pull over and extract this bikes related data set itself, how it looks like. So if you're observing in the center part, this is the window. Once you can navigate it and configure the data ingestion via event stream. And currently it is on an edit mode. At the top, if you're observing, it is still an edit mode. So I want to get it extracted, inject the data, and I want to perform to navigate and redirect this data set to the proper destination. So these are the different columns, variety of the columns that are available on your data set. Bike point, different streets, neighborhood, for geospatial latitude, longitude, and number of bikes information, number of empty docks that are available. These are the list of columns that are available. Fine. How we are going to configure and set this particular bikes table to an dedicated destination, that is event house, that particular table creation. So here we can configure it, transform event, add data destination. Either if you can perform some transformations internally, you can perform it and process the data, or you can also set the data destination. So example, I want to set the data destination to an existing event house, which I just created, M365 EH. So I'm trying to set it of the destination part. Here, if you're observing data ingestion mode, I want to set in the form of an event process before ingestion. And you want to set it directly to the data ingestion mode. So basically, we will follow this event processing before the data ingestion only. So I want to get it process this particular streaming data before ingestion. And this is my event house destination part name. And workspace is this M365 virtual conference. And I already created the event house name M365EH. And KQL database part, this is the same name. And table, so which table you want to get it create. So I want to give the table name here. We don't have any table name at the destination view. So I'm going to set a new table name and create it. Like example, let me create it as a bikes table. So this complete information, whatever the columns which you just observe here, these are all the columns which we just observe. Those are all the columns will get visible to you on this bikes table. It's loading. I'm saving this one. Can you hear me? My voice is audible, right? Any challenges?
Yeah, all working
My
fine.
voice is audible? Okay. So let me navigate back to this and publish it. So see here, once it get published, you can see an active icon on this event house as well. So currently, whatever the data it is processing from the bicycles, it will be get directly navigate to the created table, bikes table. You can see that information. These are the list of columns that are going to available on your event house on this table. So currently no table is visible to you. There is no table yet. So let me here refresh. So once you do the perform the refresh, the new table information will be get visible to you here. Still process is going on. Loading is processed. And the file, if you're observing, the file will be get stored in the form of a JSON file format only. And it will be get stored in the form of an Parquet file format at the backend lake houses part. And here, whenever if you're extracting the information, it will be get stored in the form of JSON file format. Let me refresh. And also, example, if you're observing, currently this process is still going on. What I will do in the sense, instead of making it as a live, currently the complete table I want with all the columns. What I will do in the sense, after data ingestion of this bikes table, so currently it is completed, you can see here, active. So this table is going to visible to you on this event house now. So it's refreshing. So let's try to refresh one more time. See here, bikes, the new table, which we just created. And the complete real-time analytics, when the data has been get added, all the records will be get observed on the center part. And even in the timestamp wise, data tracker is there. And let me showcase to you, this is the complete table information. If you can select this query set, M365EH query set, on the top of it, you can also write some KQL statements too, supports. So take as a command keyword. So take as a keyword. And here, if you're observing a small operator pipeline, we can make use of this pipeline operator for two reasons. One, for as a table expression wise, we can make use of it. Another one is a logical or operator wise, we can utilize this. So your table here, so and if you want to write and if you want to cross check your data with number of records that are available, you have to provide your table name. So let's try to provide the table name bikes table. So simple KQL database here, bikes table pipeline operator, take is a keyword to see the number of records, and 100 records I'm looking over, run it. So these are all the columns which we just observe at via event stream. We haven't stored the data via event stream. We just injected and processed this data. And where we are storing? We are storing this data via event house, and this KQL databases part. I have created one database, M365EH, and this is my query set. I can even also count it. So bikes, table, pipeline operated for the tabular expression, run it, and count is an operation. 2160 records are there. And I want to get it, see the data last 1 hour, how many records has been injected. I want to see the last 1 hour data from this bikes table. I can view it. I can see the stats too. Here. Fine. This is the complete table information which you are currently observing. On the top of it, if you're observing this data set, these many columns are there. I want to perform some transformations inside of this table. Like I want to view total number of bikes with a group by condition with neighborhood. You can see different multiple repeated neighborhoods are there. I want to see with these two columns along with the timestamp, injected data wise timestamp. We can also create, if you want to perform these activities, we can navigate to the event stream. We have to create here. If you're observing currently, it is a live. Let me navigate to the edit because I want to create a new table, as well as I want to perform a transformations, a kind of group by operations. So in such kind of a scenario, if you're observing, so data is getting passed, and this is the event house which has been stored. And I want to perform a transformation now. Let's try to see the different transformations that are available here. Like as I said, filtering the data or managing the fields with number of columns. And I can perform different types of an aggregations and join operations. But this time I want to perform a group by based on the neighborhood, and I want to display the total number of bikes. So select the group by. Let's try to give a connection, data connection here, so that we will get to know the data will be get transferred to this group by. So here, use different types of an aggregation functions here, summarized functions like count. These are the functions it is supporting. Let me use it as a sum here. Field part number of bikes. Add it. And as I said, various Windows functions are supporting. So these are the different Windows functions, like maybe a particular timestamp, like 1 to 10 seconds we have. I want to set one of the first event with 1 to 5 and 5 to 10 as another event. In such kind of a scenario, you can try to configure the tumbling. So these are the different ways of configuring as per your data coming, we can configuring these Windows functions, time functions. So tumbling is by default function. I'm utilizing this every 5 seconds. My data event has been get changed. So after the next event, I want to change it. In such kind of a scenario, I'm using the tumbling function. I want to get start immediately. I don't want to overlap it. Okay, existing event and again one more event. In such kind of a scenario, we have to change the Windows functions accordingly. Like example, very simple example. Suppose if we can put our laptop with 5 minutes idle, it will be log off, or else maybe we have to re-log in. Like that, these are the functions which are available, like sessionize, which is nothing but as is like a laptop, the login activities, hopping, sliding, snapshot, and so on. So by default, it is tumbling. So try to set the aggregated field here. I'm using neighborhood wise, which is having the repeated records there. I want to group by based on the neighborhood and set the duration every 5 seconds and save it. And this output, this particular transformation output, I want to get it stored in the same event house with a different table, group by table. In such kind of a scenario, currently there is no destination. We have to configure one more destination table via event house. So let's try to give a connection here. It's a simple kind of a drag and drop. If you're observing, simply place it. And currently, I have to get it configured with a new table. The above table is bikes table, which is reflecting all the columns. And second table, if you're observing, I want to create with a limited number of columns, selected columns with group by operations. On the same workspace, and here the event house. This is my event house, existing and created event house. KQL database, same database I'm using. and I want to create with a new table. I don't want to load it on the existing table, that information, the 2 columns information. I want to create it as a new table, group by bikes, something like this, new table. The input data format is JSON. Let's try to save it. So here we perform 2 activities. We have extracted the real-time data. We processed directly and stored the data in the event house in a KQL database. And also I have showed to you KQL query set, where we will try to get it, the processed information. We can query it and see the results accordingly. And also we can build quick reports as well. And another one is, if you're observing, we have extracted, and here we perform a transformation, group by transformation based on one other field. Want to see the total number of bikes. And this particular table, the new table I have created and stored in the same database with a different table name, same database. And this table also, once you published, if you have to publish it, then this table will be get visible to you after some time. Like maybe it will take, based on the network and bandwidth, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. It's very fast, milliseconds wise, if you are using the proper activity license. So it is complete, it's still going on. If you have any queries, please post it and let me know. Still, we have to do the further activities too. If you have any queries, please let me know. In the meantime, let me showcase to you the database. So please keep in mind, whenever if you're working on the real-time intelligence part, the icons is very important. This icon stands for the streaming, data streaming, which we are using the event stream house, event stream. And this one, if you're observing, this is an event house. And inside the event house, as a cluster, you can create multiple database. So I have created one database name called M365 EH. This is the database name. Okay. So this table, the new table, also visible to you in a minute. Let me refresh. It's still not loaded. It's taking time. Yeah, loading. Few more important key areas that I would just like to discuss with you when you are working on the real-time intelligence part. By default, one lake activator is disabled. So one lake availability is disabled. If you're observing on the right-hand side, the data is compressed. The original size you are observing, 126 KB file, is compressed to 20.7 KB. And the by default one lake availability, data availability is disabled, so that you can also play and work. Once you enable, right, you can also play and work on this one lake. It's just like in directory, one lake drive. So you can also get it configure and you can work it accordingly. It will be get stored if you were back in tables and informations accordingly. That particular table also you can see it, but by default this functionality and feature is disabled. And let me refresh. Yeah. See here, the new table is also available, group by bikes, and these are the columns: neighborhood, sum of bikes, total number of bikes. So as I said, ingestion time and Windows function, tumbling function I'm using. So both Windows function, the data ingestion time should be, these 2 fields will be get added automatically by default fields. And from here, I want to showcase some kind of, as I said, right, data visualizations. I want to get it visualized with these fields. So how we are going to get it visualized these source systems? There are 2 ways. As I said, we can also share this analysis via real-time dashboards by selecting it, and we can prepare the real-time analysis. Or, as we already aware, the traditional way of doing the visualization via creating the reports via Power BI. You can do it as per the business request. Let me showcase to you via real-time dashboard, and also I will just try to execute some queries based on this group by bikes table too. Let me showcase to you how I'm going to execute it. Group by, so you just have to type and our IntelliSense will be there. Just try to execute it and see the results accordingly. Most of the statements are very simple keywords. So maybe we want to create or add some new columns. We can make use of the project, keep adding the new columns, or maybe if you want to extend the table with the new columns, we can make use of an extend. Regularly we will use this kind of a commands. And if you want to reorder or else keep away some columns, so project hyphen away is the keyword which we will use it accordingly, so that the columns which you want to exclude it from the output, we can get it excluded. So I will share this link as well, so that you can just check when you are working on this kind of a sample data sets part. Fine. Let me showcase to you from here the last important topic, two more important, that is real-time intelligence wise, and I will showcase to you the data activator, and then I will, if you have any queries, I will take those queries at the end. So let me please observe here. Yeah. As I said, some of the new features has been coming up onto this real-time intelligence part. So the new features like recently, which I have observed, show ingestion mapping. So we can see the complete lineage view of this, what are the steps that has been processed, what are the information by using this show ingestion mapping. And even the table information, what are the columns that are available, these things will be getting visible to you on this by selecting this table details, which just now has showcased to you. And let me navigate to the real-time dashboard. So how it looks like and so on, we will see. So giving the name like this, bikes data, and this is my workspace. So currently I have a table, bikes table is there, even the group by table is also available. By default, once you configure, this is the front end view for a dashboard with all the columns, left hand side, one page. Like that, you can also create the multiple pages to duplicate the page, or else add the page. We can add the new pages too. So fine, by default, this is the table chart. So how can I change this chart to some another visualizations? It's as simple. At the top, if you're observing, currently I'm in the editing mode, edit mode. Once everything is finished, we can also change it to the live mode or else view mode. So fine. So here, how can I change the visualization? So currently by default, these are all the columns, but I'm very much interested to view only set of columns. In such kind of a scenario, what to do? Please observe here, we can edit it. We can edit. And here, this is by default, you can see the command back table top 10 records. So what I will do in the sense, in the same table, I'm very much interested to view by streetwise, some analysis based on some location wise, some analysis, latitude, longitude fields are also there, number of bytes. So in such kind of a scenario, I have written some simple statement here. Please observe. I will also explain it, what it is. Last 1 hour data, bikes table, injected with last 30 minutes of data. And I want to see the neighborhood details, as well as I want to project. Project is a keyword. And these are all the columns which are available on our data set. Last observation and latitude, longitude, and number of bytes. And I want to use, it is supporting order by, and even in KQL, if you are using KQL database, it's also support sort by operations, either any one of it, like in PowerBI, in SQL, transactional SQL, we will use order by, if you want to get it order with based on some category. And in KQL, you can also use the sort by neighborhood and assigning order. So this statement, what it will do in the sense, I'm executing, and you can see the result here. Neighborhood details, last observation, latitude, longitude, and number of bytes. I want to get it visualized. Currently, it is a table chart. If you're observing, this is a table chart, simple table chart with these columns. Let me get it visualized within map analysis. So some of the set of important visualizations it is supporting, you can see here. Once you can click on the edit option. So tile name is bike table. So let me change it to the bike with map analysis. That is the visual name. Analysis. And we can change the visual type by default table to map analysis too. So these are the set of visualizations that are supporting, like time series or column chart or funnel chart or scatter map and so on. Let me use currently as an latitude longitude fields are there, map analysis. So data connectivity mode here by default it is an info, so you can see the map. And let me change it to the locations wise. Latitude and longitude fields are there. So current one is the latitude, longitude real-time numbers, and I want to set the label as a neighborhood. And if you're observing the bubble size, it is both everything is same. I want to change the bubble size based on the number of bytes, number of location wise, number of bytes. Set it over. I have configured all the fields, size of the bubble size based on the bytes. Like group by we have used, right? So number of bytes based on the neighborhood is the label, and latitude longitude fields for the geographical representations part. So let's try to add this and apply the changes. Apply it so that at the center you can view the currently haven't configured the data refreshes. You can also set the data refreshes like various time frequencies. Currently, if you're observing, the time ranging is last 1 hour. So I want to set this data refreshes like auto refresh, like continuous refresh, or last 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I want to perform some kind of refreshes, data refresh. We can configure it via auto refresh. So by default, it is disabled. So here we can see the set of frequencies and intervals here, like continuous, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, and so on. Let's try to configure with 10 seconds and daily frequency rate with 10 seconds. Apply it. The numbers, right, it will be get changed, and also we can share this analysis to the user to see the current running trend. And maybe if the end user is still looking for the historical analysis, they can also download this data set in the form of different ways, like a CSV format is supporting. So currently it is live, so bubbles are changing. Like that, you can also add multiple pages. So currently is one of the tile. Let me add one more tile. So what I will do in this sense, I can also do a duplicate of this current visual, and I can change this analysis with some another visualization by using this edit option. Let me use a simple table chart. Table chart. Or let's try to take one more, okay, like example line chart. Okay, line chart, because I want to see if particular number, if it is exceeding, I want to set a notification. So that's the reason some of the charts are not supporting. If you want to set the kind of an alert notification, setting an alert. So line chart, bar chart, these are supporting. So line chart, please observe here what I'm doing. So trying to configure with neighborhood wise, not neighborhood, y-axis. I will take the number of bytes here. X-axis, I will take neighborhood. Okay, you can see the line here. Line. Maybe if you want to do some more beautification part, you can add it, the label names and so on. So currently I'm just applying. So two charts here. One is a map analysis. Another one is bike wise, total number of bikes wise location. So if you're observing these two charts, one chart, it supports setting an alert, notification alert. That is this line chart. Because it's a kind of a trend, we can set the notification alert also. This one I'm talking about, notification. But this chart, you cannot see that information like in setting an alert. Some charts, as I said, right, it's not supporting. So we can set the notification, a kind of a condition, so that my end user, he can see that numbers if it is exceeded based on the condition that we are going to configure. Let me set on this line chart itself one notification, some set of rules like this. See here. And also we can copy this and we can execute this code as well. Okay, and value change, bike value change. Okay, query execution every 5 minutes by default. You can also change it, and check by group based on by default. Here we can set the group by fields, like on bikes, and when based on the neighbors condition. This is very important. Based on what? So I want to set the condition based on the number change, numerical changes or changes by default. We can set it out. And occurrence, we can set the occurrence every time whenever the condition is met. And if the condition is satisfied or true or false, we can set this condition's occurrence as well. So here you can set that occurrence. And very important thing is where we are going to, how we are going to configure or save this particular information or data. So we can set this. These are the headline and condition which has been met or not met. Context is also based on some attribute, number of bikes. And here, items part, this is important. Currently, we are in this particular workspace, M365 virtual workspace. And select action is based on, by default, it is a Teams. We can trigger it. We can trigger and get it configure, or mail also. So maybe I want to get a notification alert via email. So I can add the list of people who want to set based on if it is meeting the condition, it will be get a trigger and they can see the notification alert mechanism accordingly and create it. So we have created only this activator or setting an alert mechanism on a line chart. So let me change the title of this as well, bikes with map analysis. Instead of this, let me change the title of this so that I can change it to the views as currently. Yes.
We are running out of time. So we have only 4 minutes left, and the next session starts in 4 minutes.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really good. So
this is how it yeah. Yes.
I want to thank you. So
this is how it looks like.
We must cut. Yeah. You can finish.
Almost completed. This is how it looks like. So these are the whenever if you want to get it, explore the data, you can store the historical information as well as real-time analysis. And from here, currently it is an edited mode, and I can change it to the views mode, save the changes. And from here, whoever the business needs, as per the business needs, we can share this report, this particular dashboard, and you can also see the notification alert mechanism, and they can trigger it accordingly, and they can view this analysis based on that. So I'm ending here. And if you have any questions or concerns related to it, if you want to explore more onto this, I'm very happy to connect with you on this real-time intelligence activities part. And you can also scan my QR code for the LinkedIn and reach out to me. And again, I'm thanking to the Marcel for giving this opportunity to, this is my first event in my M365 and get started this year, M365 itself, my speaking activity. Thank you so much, Marcel, for giving this opportunity again.
So I thank you. It was really great and a really impressive section or overview. So our next session is in 3 minutes with Shubhangi Goyal with Customer First Analytics. Power BI dashboard for impact. We see us in 2 minutes. Thank you, Heiner, and have a nice day. We see you.
The Microsoft ecosystem is evolving faster than ever. Copilot, Power Platform, security, modern work, Azure AI, new features every week, new opportunities every day. But learning is scattered. Events are expensive, limited, and difficult to access. That changes now. Welcome to M365 Con, the world's largest online Microsoft 365 convention. 2 powerful weeks, 1 week of workshops, 1 week of free global talks and keynotes. Build your own learning path with expert-led workshops. From Power Platform to security, from Copilot to Azure AI, you choose what matters to you. Then join over 60 free sessions with most valuable professionals, Microsoft trainers, architects, and innovators from around the world. Meet the community, explore the virtual expo, connect with experts, and be part of a global Microsoft experience. Accessible, global, interactive, and designed for every Microsoft 365 professional. M365 Con, your community, your learning path, your Microsoft 365 future.